Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ariel Helwani Show!
Back in your life on this Monday, March 24, 2025. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. It is great to be here on, as you can see, a cloudy, rainy, muggy, look at this, foggy Monday afternoon in New York City. Look at that. You can't even see the Empire State Building. It's like a London fog. You know what a London fog is?
I imagine it looks a lot like this.
No, a London fog, I think, is if you go to the coffee shop and ask for a London fog.
It's a drink?
I think it's a tea with milk and maybe something else. You never had a London fog before?
I haven't. Sounds delicious.
London fog. There it is. I mean, it's right there. It's an American manufacturer of coats. No, there is something. Oh, what's a London fog at Starbucks? It's an Earl Grey tea latte with vanilla and sometimes lavender, combining the flavors of Earl Grey tea, steamed milk, and vanilla. Well, it's apropos that we're talking about a London fog here on this Monday afternoon because Saturday's event at the O2 Arena kind of seemed like a London fog for the crowd in attendance. Not much to write home about. The British went 3-6 on the night, and it kind of ended in a bit of a sour manner. Not for the American Sean Brady, the Philly boy who waltzed right into the UK for the very first time and absolutely steamrolled Leon Edwards. First time Leon has been submitted. First time he's been stopped in a fight, and now very much a number one contender. Feels like a changing of the guard at 170 has been completed. You know, for the longest time, it was Kamaru, Colby, Leon. It feels like all of them aren't really factors right now, with Bilal as champion, with JDM fighting for the belt next with Shavkat, waiting in the wings with Ian Gary there, with Joaquin Buckley there, and now at the very top of that list, in my opinion, Sean Brady. Of course, we'll talk about all that and more on today's program. We got a loaded, stacked Monday show for all of you, so sit back and relax, because we got a lot to get to. First up, in about 40 minutes' time, the pride of England. Really, at this point, as far as would he be England's best chance at a champion in MMA in the not too distant future? Yeah, I'd say so. Of course, we're talking about the man who's already a champion, the uncrowned champ of the heavyweight division. Tommy Aspinall, Tommy Aspinall. Was it Tommy Aspinall in attendance, or was it Clark Kent in attendance with that little squiggly thing over there? I mean, you know yourself, Tommy. Even got a bit of a beard going. Anyway, he'll join us at 5:40. You may have seen on social media, he was meeting with the brass. What's going on? What's the state of this fight? It's the most talked about news item in the sport right now. What is actually happening? Are we going to get the fight? We'll get the lowdown from Tom, who was in attendance in large part to support his teammate Mick Parkin, who lost a very close one on Saturday to Marcin Tybura. A lot of people, including Tom, thought he won, and he's not the only one. So we'll talk to Tom. Always a pleasure. At around 2:10, we shall be joined by Nathaniel Wood. He was once known as the Prospect, but now he's saying no more Prospect. We're debuting a new nickname. He had a big win over Morgan Charriere on Saturday in what some people thought was the People's main event. And we'll talk to him. It's been a minute. He's been overcoming a lot, dealing with a lot. He's going to be a father for the second time. One of the good guys in the game is Nathaniel Wood, and he'll stop by at around 2:10. At 2:30, the aforementioned Sean Brady. Sean freaking Brady. Does Sean Brady have a nickname? I feel like he needs a nickname. I mean, he's got a hell of a lot of tattoos. I'm not sure if he has a nickname. Anyway, what a performance. It was Sean Brady from the get-go. Leon didn't even have a moment of any sort of positivity, momentum, brilliance. Sean was fantastic. Taking the fight on short notice, going in there, becomes a dad, accepts the fight 2 days later, and can't wait to see what they do with him next. He'll join us at 2:30 to talk about all that and more. Can't wait for that. And at 3 o'clock, we'll be joined by one of the greatest characters in the history of combat sports. I feel very confident in saying that. Of course, one of the best coaches in the history of boxing. He's now turned into a great analyst for ESPN, has his own podcast as well. He is Teddy Atlas, the pride of Staten Island right here in New York. And we're going to have him on to talk about the passing of one of the greatest icons in the history of combat sports, the one and only George Foreman. We found out on Friday that Big George, at just 76 years young, had passed away. And truly one of the greatest fighters, one of the greatest champions, one of the greatest personalities in the history of combat sports. Of course, many, many memorable occasions. His win over Michael Moore to become the oldest heavyweight champion in boxing history. One of the great moments in the history of the sport. Jim Lampley's call on HBO. It happened. It happened. The title of his upcoming autobiography. We've had Jim on the program to talk about that and what George meant to him. Of course, the Rumble in the Jungle. I'm screwing this up. 50 years ago. The build, incredible. If you've never seen the documentary When We Were Kings, please do yourself a favor and watch it. A guy who left the sport in 1977, came back 10 years later after being a sort of a born-again Christian, an evangelist, had found God. Everyone thought he was crazy for coming back after a 10-year hiatus, worked his way up to that title fight in, I do believe, 94. No one thought he had a chance. He was coming off a loss against the guy who was 20 years his junior, and it was not looking good for him, and he was able to pull it off with one of the great sequences and everything that followed afterwards. And, of course, to a legion of fans out there, he's known as the grill guy. He's known as Uncle George. He's known as one of the cuddly salesmen that you saw in his post-fighting career and made hundreds of millions of dollars off of that George Foreman grill. And so, there was that holy trinity of heavyweights in the 70s of Ali, Frazier, and Foreman. Sadly, they're all gone now, and they all fought each other, and they all produced incredible moments. Foreman's win over Joe Frazier in Kingston, Jamaica, produced one of the greatest calls in boxing history. Down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier. That was Howard Cosell. And so just amazing stuff. What a life, what a career, what a larger-than-life individual. We'll talk to Teddy Atlas, who, by the way, was Michael Moore's head trainer and got into it with George in the build-up to that fight. And there were some amazing moments in between rounds, but speaks of him with the utmost love and sincerity and affection. I thought it would be great to have Teddy on, so he'll join us at 3 o'clock. There's the quartet. What a show. Can't wait to get into it. And like I said, not a lot to write home about if you are a fan who attended the O2 on Saturday. I know ticket prices were high. I know there wasn't a lot to get excited about. I know even if you weren't rooting for the Brits, like the fights just weren't, they weren't that great. They didn't really deliver. But I tell you something, I know who had a weekend to remember. Would you believe that our very own Pete Carroll was out hobnobbing with the elite? I wake up on a Saturday morning, and there I see flooded on social media Pete just gallivanting around Dublin town with one of the hottest comedians in the game right now, the great Shane Gillis, who was in attendance on Saturday at the O2, sold out the 3 Arena, and said he needed to have his guy Pete there. Look at that. Look at that big thumbs up. DJ T-esque. And there's another one. Now here are the boys just having a pint or two or 3 or 4 or maybe even 5. Look at this. I mean, there's just different variations of the, yeah, we're boys, we're hanging out on a Friday night in Dublin town. How did this happen, Pete? Explain to us how you were able to enter this very elite circle.
It was all down to the great Chris Bungard, of course, Scottish MMA fighter / professional wrestler / actor, a man of many trades. He's a friend of Shane Gillis's, and I kind of piggybacked off their friendship into this situation, I must say. But all of the lads, absolute legends. All of the lads who were there, Chris O'Connor, Joe DeRosa, all these comedians, they were absolute legends. I mean, I woke up very, very rough. I'm still feeling the effects on Monday, but they were all gentlemen. Fantastic time was had by all. Brilliant set. And then, of course, he played the O2 last night, and he was in attendance at UFC London, and all these lads were all just buzzing for Sean Brady, and they were all there sitting cage side yesterday for his big win against Leon Edwards. So fantastic time was had, one for the books.
I thought you'd be sitting right next to him there in attendance at the O2. You know,
no, not quite there. I don't think so. Not quite there. They're legends though. They honestly were. They were so nice to us all. But just one of them mornings where you wake up and you're like, thank God I haven't been injured or arrested. This is fantastic. I got away with one again. Come on.
Any truth to the rumor that he's a loyal listener of the Crack?
I don't know about that now. He definitely knows who you are. Yeah, he definitely knows who you are. When Chris introduced me to him, he's like, "Oh, he works there." He's like, "Oh yeah, Ariel." I was like, "Yeah, woo, thank God, we're in." But no, honestly, they were just all lovely. They had a great time in Dublin, I think. Just fantastic time had by all.
Amazing.
I saw him even last night. I saw him with Arnie Allen. Unbelievable.
He was hanging with Arnie.
Yes. I mean, I wonder if he snuck an L meal deal in the back there. And was like, come here, what do you think of this? But great lads, all of them. Fantastic.
I loved it. It warmed my heart. It was great to see. You seemed like you were a pig in shit with a big old smile on your face. It seemed
I was
like
a pig in hell for the next 2 days.
Well, look at that. I mean, look at that scene right there. It looks like it's...
That's Derek. That's Derek Skelling, Chris Bungard's mate on the other side of Chris there. And on the other side of Shane, an absolute legend. But honest to God, this guy is so famous and he was just so nice. Like any other dude. Unbelievable. Great to see it. Great to be around him. Exactly how you expect him to be. Just a fucking legend.
Yeah. Well, I'd say he was delighted on Saturday night to see one of his own, the Philly boy, Sean Brady, step up to the plate. And let's be honest, to steal a baseball analogy, a Phillies analogy, he was like Bryce Harper out there hitting a grand slam. I mean, this guy walked into the O2 and just steamrolled one of the great fighters of this generation, and it was never even close. And there was a desperation moment, and I do believe, was it the third or fourth when Leon shot, and you were like, oh gosh, this is really going poorly. I mean, there was one moment I was reading the factoids. Take a listen to this. I mean, in one particular round, Brady broke the record for UFC control time for a single round, 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Like
Second
I said,
round?
Yeah. First fight in the UK, just his second fight outside of the United States. And of course, we know what happened in the first one a couple of years ago to Bilal. He suffered his only loss. He did not look like himself. He got beat, convincingly stopped in that fight. But all he has done since then is win over Kelvin Gastelum, win over Gilbert Burns, and now a stoppage win over Leon Edwards. He submits him in the fourth round. First submission loss of Leon's career. First person to ever stop Leon Edwards. And even afterwards, I felt like when he did the post-fight press conference, he exuded a level of confidence that we have never seen from Sean. He wasn't begging. He wasn't making a strong case, I should be next. He was just up there being like, that's all you got? If you were in Philly, I would never tap in front of my people. You guys, people were telling me that the O2 fans were going to be rough on me. That was nothing compared to what you would have gotten if you went into Philly against me. He was just sitting there and he was going he was mocking the media there. Just being yeah, now what? Even on social media, he posts a picture with his team. Something, what was it about the guns in London? Saying that you guys don't have any guns.
You don't even have guns.
Yeah. Even mocking them in that regard. You guys have nothing. This was a different side of Sean Brady, a very, very impressive and confident side of Sean Brady. We had a nice 3-Pac reunion on Saturday, which I loved, and I know the people did as well. Perhaps we need to do a little more of that. But I gotta go to GC. This was your guy, and I know deep down you love Sean, and in jest you were doing the ducking stuff and all that, and we all know that that's the next big test for him, you versus him on the Averon. But let's give this guy his flowers. I was blown away by what he did to Leon Edwards.
Blown away. I mean, I've never seen anything like it against a guy like Leon Edwards. It was pillar to post. It was not even competitive. He made Leon Edwards look like a chump out there. I mean, the shot for a takedown in the third round was when I knew it was over. And then the fact that he gets the finish in the fourth round, I mean, he has cemented himself in contendership in the welterweight division for sure. He is, if not next, depending on circumstances, he is one win away for sure.
Who is Sean Brady's next opponent? This is the hard question to answer right now, right?
Very hard question, yeah.
We know Bilal's fighting, right? We know he's fighting May 10th against JDM. I don't think it's one of those where it's like, oh, if Bilal loses, they're going to run it back, right? He's not getting an immediate rematch if he loses, right? He hasn't been a champion that long. He hasn't been a champion for a year. And so I think we could confidently say that someone is next, right? It's not going to be one of those, well, if this guy wins or if that, like Pereira loses to Magomed, he's getting the immediate rematch. If Bilal loses, I don't think that's the case. And so will they go back? I think you can make a strong case right now that Brady's resume is more impressive than Shavkat's, despite the fact that he has the loss to the current champion. You know what I mean? Shavkat was supposed to fight for the belt in December. Bilal gets hurt. Shavkat was supposed to fight for the belt in May. He gets hurt. I don't think it's a crazy statement to say Sean Brady should be next. Do I think he gets it next? I think he's probably going to have to fight one more time. But I think he has done enough in the last 3 fights, plus only lost to the champion, to really make them think here. I don't think it's as easy as it was a week ago. What do you think?
I think the fact that Shavkat had the title shot, and then he lost it because of Bilal getting injured, and then he took on Ian Gary. He won that. I know he got injured in that fight. I think he still has earned the title shot, and if he is healthy, he deserves it. I also think there's the argument for the star power, the undefeated record, everything like that. So if he is healthy, I think he will get the title shot, and I think he's deserved that as well. But if he's not healthy, and we get into August, September, and Bilal's looking to fight again, I think it should absolutely be Sean Brady.
Let's ask New York Rick. New York Rick, there's many different iterations here, right? There's Brady versus Ian Gary. There's Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. There's Brady versus Shavkat, number one contender, winner fights for the belt. There's Shavkat fighting the winner, Brady having to wait. What do you think happens after that performance, after that incredible performance?
I can't say definitively what I think will happen because of the timing of it all, right? We have to have a resolution of this next upcoming welterweight title fight. Then we have to hear if Shavkat is healthy. Ultimately, what I'd want to see, if I'm being completely honest, is Shavkat versus Brady and Leon versus Ian Gary and Buckley versus Usman.
Shavkat versus Brady as a number one contender
contender fight.
Wow.
Ooh.
I get,
a tough
listen,
ask for Shavkat.
It's a tough pill to swallow if you're Shavkat.
Yeah.
I get that. You had the title fight, then you had it again. Ultimately, this is just how the cookie crumbles. And
Just ask Charles. Charles had a title shot.
Exactly.
Got cut.
It
didn't
happens
get
all the time
title
now.
fight.
What about Brady Usman? He's been banging that drum. I don't know
I'd rather
if
see
Usman will take
Buckley,
it.
but I'm open. I'm open to it.
Now, is it a step back to go from Leon to Usman if you're Brady? Here are the current UFC rankings.
For Brady.
I don't know. I guess he's
I think
three, and he's
Brady
also
just
a
fights
massive name.
Shavkat.
Brady versus
Shavkat with the
Shavkat.
title.
Okay, so
Yeah.
these are the rankings. These are going to change come tomorrow, Wednesday, whenever the new one comes out. And as you could see, you could see the changing of the guard, right? Look how low Colby is. Look at Gilbert low. Kamaru's got to drop down. It's kind of crazy that he's that high. Leon's got to drop down.
You would think
Shavkat
so.
should probably be number one now. And Jack Della probably moves to 2, or Brady, 2 or 3 for Brady. Anyway, there it is. I'm torn on this one. I don't think to me, Brady versus Usman feels like a step back for Brady. It's got to be Shavkat.
If it's
Ian.
Brady versus Usman, but you say this is your title opportunity next, I think that's a justifiable fight for Brady. That's fine. You get a title shot if you beat Usman. That's fine for me.
I think he gets a title shot regardless, whether it's Buckley, Gary, Usman. If he wins his next fight, I think he's getting a title shot.
Does anyone think he should be next? Should he be sitting there in Montreal as the next guy?
I think he's in a situation where he should either fight Shavkat or fight for the title. That's the situation I think he's in. I don't think he should fight anyone else.
If Shavkat... Sorry, PT, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
But I just tell you, that's shown me so much this weekend. I expected Leon to give him a way better fight, but what we've seen from him over this weekend, you mentioned at the start, Ariel, it's not just the dominant performance; it's the way he's carrying himself.
Yeah.
It's like Highlander. You chop off the lad's head and you inherit his power. That's what I felt like he did. He went in and even afterwards, the demeanor, everything about him. I think it's someone that people can really get behind. And it kind of reminded me of Eddie Alvarez at the height of his power. That kind of what are you going to do to me? Come, what are you going to do to me? Of course, this is what happened. And I really like that. I love his new attitude. And look, I'm sure the fact that he's just become a father has motivated him to no end too. I think that win, to your point at the start, puts him level or slightly ahead of Shavkat. And if I'm his manager, I'm saying, well, we're going to go, as you say, let's go to Montreal, let's watch this fight. And if Shavkat isn't ready, I should be that guy. If Shavkat's ready, I'll fight him for the right to fight Bilal. I don't think Shavkat's performance against Ian Gary is the type of one where you're like, well, he has to fight for the title now. It was a very competitive fight, but it just didn't have the spectacle that everybody wants when we're watching these fights. So that's the position I think Brady's in now.
By the way, Rick, I'll let you weigh in here in a second, but I just want to say it's so crazy that you mentioned Eddie. Obviously, there's the connection, the Philly boys, and they've known each other for a while. I went for a little like jog yesterday evening, and I like to listen to the post-fight press conference and all this stuff, to kind of get ready to see what they have said leading up to the show and the interviews. I've said this before, he sounds so much like Eddie Alvarez. The way he says certain things, he sounds so much like him that I felt compelled to send Eddie a voice note and just tell him like, hey, A, this guy sounds exactly like you, but B, like, let's not forget, you were the first guy, you flew the flag, you set the path for these guys to come after you from Philly. And I just wanted him to know that, like, we haven't forgotten about the Underground King, and it was great to talk to him a little bit about that and how happy he was for Sean Brady. So it was just amazing that you mentioned that, because when I close my eyes, I hear Eddie Alvarez when he speaks, and if he can have half the career that Eddie had in terms of the accomplishments, he's well on his way. Rick, weigh in.
It feels a little bit, what have you done for me lately? And now, granted, this is a what have you done for me lately sport. No bones about it. This is what this form of entertainment is. But we've just seen Sean Brady do what he did to Leon Edwards. The aura, the vibes around Shavkat heading into that last fight against Ian Gary, like he was at that level as well. And I think he has a very vocal and dedicated fan base. He's also got no losses on his record, which I think works in his favor. I'm down for them to fight. I'm less down for Sean to jump him if Shavkat is healthy. I don't like that idea.
Yeah, so the last I heard...
unhealthy?
Well,
if he's unhealthy, then next man up. Brady's right in.
The last I heard was July, August. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be. And I am not, just because they did it to Charles, I don't like people losing a title shot if they get hurt. Like if you earned it, you earned it. And look, he was a good soldier. He didn't have to fight Ian Gary. I know he got paid. He wasn't doing it for charity, but he could have said, I'm going to wait as well. And I think he did the UFC a favor by staying on that card, because it's certainly like that card would have been in shambles if he pulled out. And obviously Ian deserves a ton of credit. And Ian is fired up that he didn't get the call. I don't think Ian's too far off, but he certainly doesn't have the same case as now as Sean Brady. Brady's on a roll here. I mean, like, that win over Leon Edwards is better than any of Ian's wins, with all due respect to MVP and all these guys. Like, this is the former champion. You didn't just beat him. You stopped him for the first time in his career. And so to me, it's either, if this is how I would be happy with this. Shavkat fights the winner of JDM and Bilal, probably that's May, maybe in Abu Dhabi or something, like around that time frame, right? That seems appropriate. I would rather Sean doesn't wait just for activity's sake. He's rolling right now, and I would favor him against any of the top guys, but him fight either Ian or Buckley as just like all right. But to me, Usman, like, I don't know about you guys, but I think he steamrolls Usman. Like, I don't think
Usman's higher ranked. What at the moment?
It's just guys on a roll and the fresh blood. Like, if you're Kamaru Usman, are you signing up for that fight?
Probably, because it could get you back to a title quicker than any other fight. If you beat Sean Brady as Kamaru Usman,
absolutely.
Now you're back in that combo.
Of course. I just mean, like, if
I would sign up.
It's probably the most he can gain.
It's probably the most he can gain. Best he can do.
The UFC these days, as we know, is more about, like, how many have you won in a row? Are you coming off a win? It's not so much, it's the quantity of wins, not so much the quality of your wins, in my opinion, that gets you to the top. Now, of course,
Shavkat's the guy.
Oh, 100%. 100%. If I'm Brady, you fight Shavkat, amazing. If you can't get Shavkat, well, obviously the first thing is getting a title shot, but I would be, I don't know. Would I be surprised? I don't know, man. This one gives me a headache. I could see them going in a million different directions. I really can.
This really just comes down to Sean Brady's threshold for risk and wanting to stay busy. Because ultimately, we assume that Shavkat's kind of in a driver's seat for a title shot. If Sean Brady wants to stay busy, he has options, right? He can try to challenge Shavkat, but if you're Shavkat, do you necessarily want to take that, right? He's already helped the UFC once in terms of staying on that card and taking on Ian Gary when he did not need to. There was no title on the line, and he took that opportunity and saved them to a certain degree. Do you want to take on Sean Brady? I don't know if you do if you're Shavkat. But if you're Brady, you can call for that. Or if you don't, then you have options all within the division because you really haven't faced a lot of these guys whose names we've been mentioning, right? All these are new, fresh matchups. But if you're Sean Brady, do you want to risk it? Do you want to go against a guy like an Ian Gary? I'd rather face Kamaru Usman, whose ranking is higher, but star is more diminished, than a young, hungry Ian Gary, who I don't know if I want that problem at the moment. Not that and this is, I think, as we all talk about this, we need to make it clear, like, we're not forecasting Ian Gary can't beat Brady or vice versa. We're just talking about it's a risk to fight anybody that skilled on that night. And so you're putting a title opportunity potentially on the line there. I don't know. It really depends on Brady, and we'll speak to him and we'll find out.
It's a good point. The Usman thing, like, as well, like, just in terms of legacy, to have another champion on your resume, instead of having a young, hungry guy who hasn't entered the title fray yet, and essentially risking that position against them with a Joaquin or an Ian Gary, you're allowing them to Highlander you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're letting them fight you, they will take your power if they somehow win. And as we know, all these prospects, very, very good fighters. We've been talking about them for a long time. When they enter the fray, they're all just about there now. I do like the style matchups for Brady against Gary, against Joaquin, just because of his phenomenal grappling ability, his phenomenal pressure in top position. But to Rick's point, I do think that's a good point. If we're in a situation where we're snookered and Bilal is fighting Shavkat next, I think Usman is a good option. That's a very good point, Rick.
Yeah. Like I said, welterweight is so interesting right now. There's many different ways that they can go with this. We're focusing on Brady, but I'm also curious to kind of figure out where Leon goes from here. Leon is only 33 years old, and it's amazing how 2 years ago he's in the O2 and he thoroughly beats Kamaru Usman, and he proves that the rematch, because they fought 3 times, wasn't a fluke. And then he comes back and he thoroughly beats Colby Covington. And then, of course, it's the fight against Bilal. And I said this on Saturday, and it's worth repeating again here. This fight felt like the referendum on the Bilal fight, the second fight, the one in July in Manchester in the middle of the night. If he came back looking like $1 million, he could say, you see, I told you guys, it was all about, the middle of the night stuff. I was affected by it. Never again. But he didn't. He looked worse. And so now I think that loss ages worse. And now he can't really hang his hat on that anymore. And of course, Bilal had a field day, and as he should have. As he should have had a field day, because I can understand from his perspective, he probably feels like I'm trying to take something away from him. Not the case. Asking the questions, harping on it, not, who knows. The team brings it up. You talk about it. It becomes a thing. It becomes a narrative. It becomes a talking point. And so he's probably sitting there saying, now what are you going to say? You know what I mean? I beat this guy, Sean Brady, who I think is infinitely better now than he was a couple of years ago, but he lost fair and square and got stopped in that fight. Now what are you going to say about that July fight? You can't say anything. And so I think it makes his win look even better, and I think it makes the loss look even worse. And so I feel like right now there's this revisionist history on Leon the champion, Leon's title reign. Usman was washed up. Colby was washed up, and then he got thoroughly dominated by Bilal Muhammad. They have to be very careful about what the next move is. And they have to figure out how to get the fire back, because it just kind of felt like there was no fire there. Now, a lot of that had to do with the extinguisher that is Sean Brady. He did a great job of extinguishing any fire that was that could have been present in Leon Edwards. But they need to be very careful about this next fight and maybe take some time. That probably would be good after a fight like this. But we need a favorable matchup next. Like, this is one of those where take a fight 3 steps back. Just get the mojo back. Get the confidence back, because it just didn't feel like it was there on Saturday.
The craziest part of all this, you were about to ask who it is?
Yeah, who would that be?
It would have been JDM. That's the thing. JDM would have been the guy.
Well, if JDM loses in 2 months, then that's the fight.
It still could be, but JDM on Saturday night could have been the perfect opportunity for Leon to be in a striking battle, get his mojo back, and get back on the horse. But Bilal Muhammad and Sean Brady back-to-back is a bad style matchup for Leon Edwards. That's just what it is. It is it is 2 of the hardest fights he could possibly fight in that division. And so it's a crazy turn of events where he was in a matchup with the guy that you think, okay, if you can style here, if you can get into a striking battle, you'll be back. And instead he gets the guy who just completely suffocates him.
Beyond JDM, who let's say JDM
MVP is a great
I said MVP. Yeah.
I feel like that's...
Is that too far down? Do you fall? Where is MVP?
I don't think. I just
put back
get
up,
momentum.
15.
Yeah, he's 15, but he also just won at 85. He's coming off the Ian fight. I
bigger name.
bigger name, would be a big deal over there. Obviously, I don't know of any plans just yet of going back to the UK. Not in the top 10. He's, like we said, 15, but
The one that screams to me
profile.
is Ian Gary, but
Yeah.
I'm after
Will Ian wait around for him?
Well, if I'm Ian though,
I don't think Ian's taking that fight now.
really,
I think Ian would say, like, no,
Give me Sean.
give me a bigger name.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's a very
I took
winnable fight.
Shavkat on short notice for you
Ian.
guys. I stepped up. Give me a guy that gets me a title shot.
It's fair. It's fair. That feels like a winnable fight for Ian because I'm thinking about the grappling that he kind of uses in the later rounds when he needs to, and I feel like he could find some success there. But it's also an opportunity to have a name, and obviously there's that rivalry and the whole story about the gym.
It's just so crazy how quickly things turn, right?
Yes,
Like the way
it's the
people are
best.
talking
It's
about
really
Leon, like he's a total nothing. Like, man,
This is it. Like, and
Head
if
kick
he
was the
wasn't
biggest fluke.
headlining this, if this fight, if he wasn't headlining the card in London, who knows if Bilal had an opponent missing? Like, he was on the show last week and said, like, well, they aren't going to take me off the London card, and really, they needed him on that London card in terms of star power, in terms of everything, everyone about saying afterwards, like that he was a big draw. I know it didn't go his way, but you know, we weren't foreseeing him getting an immediate an immediate rematch, but had that fight fallen off and he wasn't on top of a card in London, perhaps they'd give it more time. I think these are all making a good point about Ian Gary, etc. But Ian needs to fight soon. And what Ariel said earlier, I really agree with. I think Leon just needs an extended time off. He's not old. He has plenty more left in him. But from what we've seen in the last two fights, I just think he needs to take his foot off the gas for a few minutes, you know, and not be constantly under this stress of defending a title, winning back a title. You're the headline guy. You know, that's a lot of pressure. And he's been under a lot of pressure for a very long time. Think about that win streak when it started. Think about all the bullshit he went through to get to a title situation. I think it's perfectly acceptable for him to take some time off. I think he actually needs it. I'm
with you, but styles make fights, and those were two bad styles for him. Just Bilal Muhammad and Sean Brady are bad styles for him.
I agree, yeah.
I'm not at all chalking this up to, man, he just needs to like reset. Like that may be true, and it probably could serve him well to just not think about it for a bit. But more importantly is who is he going to face when he comes back? Because you better find a style that's going to be a good match for yours. Otherwise, this could be a really rough, bumpy ride for him.
Leon Jorge?
Yeah, that would
It might be the time,
The
honestly.
fight we never got.
It might be
That
the
would
time.
be fucking great. I was there that night. I would
Yeah,
love
I'm
that
down
shit.
for it now. I'm down
I
for
wasn't.
it.
Famously, Jorge Masvidal
Yes.
called us out for me and GC for being like no interest. I'm interested. This is the time.
I'm interested
It's
now.
finally time.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Hat
It is
man,
crazy
going
that
back.
they never
We
fought
love
each
it.
other. It is wild. Like
I'm in.
actually officially in a
That
sanction.
was beef. That day was fucking crazy. If you were backstage in London that day and you're waiting for the press conference to start and suddenly it's like nobody is coming, there's been a brawl, you go on your phone, you're looking at this shit, everyone's trying to get Masvidal, everyone's trying to get Leon. It was crazy, dude. Like if they just made a little highlight reel like akin to the one they did with Cormier and Jones, we're all in. Let's go.
And to the point you two are making, if you can't find the fire for that one, then we
Yeah.
know it's over, right? If you can't
Fair.
get up for that
Yeah.
one, that's it.
Fair.
That's it. We're done with talking about the top level competition. So I think it's a little bit off the wall. It's a little bit out of nowhere, but I don't hate it. I'll be honest.
I fucking love it. to be
Amazingly,
honest
that
with
was
you.
6 years ago this month.
Crazy.
6 freaking years ago. PT, I want to ask you, as someone who knows the
Yeah.
region so well, how detrimental was that event to the region, if at all? Is it just a bad night, or you have people? There was one guy in particular who was telling me who works in boxing, like, oh, can't wait to go to my first UFC, and he was like, yeah, I get it, but golly, that was long. The decisions, the crowd seemed flat. A lot of the local heroes didn't win. Is that just, but there was complaining about the prices beforehand. Is that the kind of thing that can really hurt them, or is that just a bad night and everyone forgets about it the next time around?
No, I think it's the fact that it's come after this Manchester one, which was a similar feeling to the fans. Where it was on in the middle of the night and they were like, well, this isn't for us. I know it's our guys. We got a big pop for the Tom fight. We got a big pop for the Paddy fight. Obviously, the main event didn't go the way they wanted to do it with Bilal. But like in the middle of the night, like, you're destroying your whole weekend going to that card, essentially, right? Even if you're living in the UK, you're like, Sunday is gone. I'm probably still going to be recovering on Tuesday from this thing. I think of the fact that it's come after that is tough. I think the ticket prices are a real problem. We had Chisanga on the crack last week, and he was talking about the scalpers and how they haven't got that under control. That's a universal problem. That's not particularly a London situation. But yeah, I think they've probably gone back to the well too many times. And, you know, I spoke to someone who has been at every single UFC London card for the last 10 years. Just yesterday. And, you know, this guy's a high roller. I'm not going to lie to Ariel. You know, he'd have a big box there. He'd be bringing his friends. There'd be a lot of cash thrown down, no doubt. And he was kind of saying, like, I was watching this card, and he said, and I have to say, the last 3 fights, the atmosphere picked up a bit, but it was very bad. You know, like in comparison to other ones we've had, it was very weak. But he said the thing that struck me, and I had time to think about this, he told me, because obviously the fights aren't as compelling as they usually were. He was like, I was looking down from the view that I have, and it's the same view as I always had. And it kind of occurred to me that, like, it hasn't really evolved, the product, in 10 years. Like, there's nothing different happening. Like, you know, it looks exactly the same as what it was before. Now, this is probably a different position than a person going to their first card and just not enjoying the product. But that, from a person who's been there 10 years, who's kind of saying, well, this is getting boring to me, a diehard MMA fan, that's tough. But
to play devil's advocate, like if you go to an NBA game now, it looks kind of the same as it did 10 years ago, or a Premier League match or an NFL. So, like, what do you mean by that? You know what I mean? Is that fair?
Yeah, maybe it's just the fact that he was, you know, the product wasn't as compelling as usual, that he's bringing this up. But it's not good that so many people, including journalists who have covered this sport and who are usually very pro UFC, are coming out and saying, like, this isn't good enough. This was very bad. We did not enjoy this. This is the second one in a row where we're walking away kind of saying to fans, like, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. So, yeah, I think they have to do something about it. What can they do? They could probably put more of the talent there, but they're kind of a victim in their own success in the way that, you know, Thomas, where he's at now, like, he's waiting for the biggest fight in the world. Paddy Pimblett is a rising star in the sport. Molly McCann, who's usually a big fan favorite, had her last fight. This is someone that usually get the crowd going. It's just in an awkward situation for the UFC in the UK right now. But I do think it's promising that Dave Shaw said in the aftermath that they will be exploring new markets in 2026 and return to different markets around Europe. I think that kind of thing just stimulates the whole continent as opposed to just one region and one area in particular, which is London.
Well, it may not have been memorable for the Brits, but what about the Irish? Back-to-back wins. When was the last time? You'd have to go back to perhaps McGregor Brandao to see that kind of dominance
we don't need to.
By the Irish. Shauna Bannon, Mama B, with the submission win after getting dropped by a beautiful head kick. She picked up a win, and that was after Kaylin Loughran picked up a close split decision win over Nathan Fletcher. So that was very exciting. Christian Leroy Duncan was one of the few Brits on the card to win. Like I said, Marcin Tybura had a close unanimous decision win over Mick Parkin. Loner Kavanagh was the other Brit to pick up a win, and Nathaniel Wood was the third. Chris Duncan with a hard-fought submission victory over Jordan Vucenic. And you mentioned Molly McCann. She did, in fact, retire after her submission loss to Alessia Tainara, who took the fight on just a week's notice. Molly McCann saying, if I can't beat someone who's taking a fight on a week's notice, I don't deserve to be here. She took off the gloves, and it was a sad moment. There you see her putting the gloves in the middle of the cage. Paddy Pimblett on camera crying as well. She has flown the flag very proudly for the UFC, for Brits in the UFC, for women in the UFC. And now she moves on, and that was a tough moment, obviously, for the crowd as well. The air kind of came out of the room. Kevin Holland, I thought, other than Sean Brady, had the performance of the night for what he did against Gunnar Nelson. A well-rounded victory off his back. He looked fantastic. The striking looked great. Gunnar had not fought in 2 years, and obviously Kevin a hell of a lot more active. But in a return to 170 pounds. Nothing to sneeze at. A dominant win over Gunnar Nelson. Who knows? We may be close to the end of Gunnar's run, and he was sort of alluding to that a little bit in our interview last Tuesday. But I was supremely impressed with Kevin Holland, and of course, Carlos Ulberg picked up a big win over Jan Blachowicz, and now has, honestly, one of the longest winning streaks in the UFC. Issa Makhachev has 15, Merab has 12, Dricus has 9. Those are 3 champions, of course. Movsar Evloev is a number 1 contender, most believe, Ilya Topuria is technically a champion. And Khamzat Chimaev is about to fight for the belt. And there's Carlos Ulberg with 8 as well. 15-12, 9-9-8. Ulberg's there. Obviously, he won't be fighting for the belt next because, of course, Alex Pereira is next against Magomed Ankalaev. But you'd have to think he would either be next or just one away. And I can tell you that we will be joined by him tomorrow on the program. So he has been very impressive as well. I know it wasn't maybe the the most exciting victory of all time as far as action is concerned, but that's a solid win over a veteran, over a former champion in Jan Blachowicz, another guy who had been out for almost 2 years. But I thought it was solid. I thought it was solid from Carlos Ulberg representing CKB. Star of the night for you, Pizzi? Who was it? Who was the one that stood out?
Tom Aspinall holding up the duck.
Yeah. Oh, what a tease that is. That was great, by the way. Tommy holding up the duck, looking like Clark Kent, right?
Beautiful, man. That jacket. Look at this guy.
Look at this. What has happened?
Sex on legs.
I mean, when we had the squiggle, when we had the little hair.
Well, yeah, when did
down.
this happen? I would like to know.
He does what he wants. He does what he fucking wants.
By the
Tommy
way,
Aspinall, look at
he
that.
was so ready for the moment, too. Like, most people just kind of sit there. They pretend like they're not on camera, right?
Nah.
He was ready for it.
He's waltzing in and out like, I'm going to watch Mick. I'll head back up to the VIP. See us for the main event, lads. You know,
Yeah.
Tom embracing the situation he's in. Uncrowned heavyweight champion of the world.
You know, it's a nice, it's him, it's Kayla Harrison. There's a few that have really owned it, right? Being the uncrowned champion. They don't realize the prestige that is involved. I saw him on the video blog. He was rubbing elbows with the great Louis Theroux back there. Just an absolute star.
Yes.
Just an absolute
Yes.
star. And would you
Louis
agree?
gotta do.
Would you agree their biggest hope right now? I mean, obviously Arnold's in the mix as well, but like he's there, right?
Come on.
Yeah, okay.
What are you talking about? It's big. Like, this is the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life.
I didn't want to insult anyone on the spot.
Christ. Mate, anyone, who do you think would complain about that? Who do you think would be like, a
lot of people get
actually,
offended.
no, I'm ahead of Tom Aspinall in the who's from the UK who's going to win a title next? Come on. No one fucking near him.
Yeah, all right. Well, on that note, let us say hello to our first guest of the day. He is, as we have called him here on the program, the uncrowned champion of the heavyweight division, certainly in mixed martial arts. And that is probably more prestigious, if you ask me, than being the UFC heavyweight champion, because he is the people's champion. He was in attendance on Saturday. Everyone waiting with bated breath for his next move. He is the pride of the UK, the pride of Great Britain, the pride of Manchester, the pride of Wigan. The man who brought smiles to people's faces at the O2, unlike what happened on Saturday. There he is, the man himself. The great Tom Aspinall. And Tom, I do have to say, we have some breaking news off the top.
Okay, go on.
That's our breaking news music. I don't know if you know this, but I watch all your content. I watch it very, very closely. And I couldn't help but notice on the blog on Saturday, the vlog, as they say, we're used to a little bit of this and we're used to a little bit of this. But what's happening on the side here, Tommy? Are we growing in the beard? What's happening over there? I saw some stubble on the side. What's happening?
That's the breaking news, is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, wow. I mean, we're struggling for content. Breaking news. Good grief.
What's happening?
I don't know. I'm just trying out a new thing. I don't even know. Look, I don't even. That's barely. There's not a lot going on there, but I'm having a go. Like a week in, 2 weeks in, maybe.
This is you. Is this your protest? Until you get a fight, you're not shaving?
No, I don't know what we're doing, to be honest. I've had that. See, the old Tashan little beard thing. I'm completely aware it doesn't look that good. But every time I shave it off, it just looks worse. Like it's just weird. So we're going a bit of side stubble these days. We're seeing how that looks for a little while. Who knows what's going to happen moving forward? I don't know.
I think the story should be you're protesting. Until you get some sort of clarity, you're not shaving and everyone has to deal with it. We did just give you props before you came on, looking like Clark Kent out there. What's happening with the little...
No. Petey
Yes.
was giving me props.
What? No.
You were throwing a bit of shade my way, mate. I heard it.
What do you mean? Look at this.
Oh.
You look fantastic here. You maybe never
Thank
looked
you.
better.
Listen to this. So today, this is a funny story. So my my friend James Webb. Are you familiar with James Webb?
Yes,
I know
yes.
Pete's is familiar with James Webb. Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion, training partner of mine, friend of mine. So today I rode up to the gym, and he was like, "Who was your stylist for Saturday?" And I was like, "What?" He said, "Who styled you? Was it like some of the UFC staff, or who was it?" I was like, "Mate, me? What are you talking about?" And you do you remember Ricky Martin?
Of course, yes.
She bang, mate. I'm like a throwback Ricky Martin, mate. Looked fantastic.
I thought
Miami
you looked
Vice
great.
stuff.
Yeah, he was giving you stick. He was busting your chops.
No, he was serious, I think.
Oh, he was giving you props. Okay.
No, he's giving me props. He's giving me props. He wasn't busting my chops, I don't think. I think he was genuinely saying, and I think he was genuinely unaware that I could dress all right, because usually I'm wearing this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm just wearing gym stuff.
No, it's all coming together. The only thing missing, of course, is your next assignment. And so let's not beat around the bush. Everyone's waiting with bated breath. Here you are on the program. It's rare to even get you on the horn these days because you're such a big superstar. I saw you hobnobbing with Piers Morgan, telling him he's your favorite interviewer and all that. I didn't take it personally. Don't worry about that. Not for a second, okay? But it's a great honor to have you here and to ask you the hard questions.
Wait a sec. Whoa, hold up. I definitely didn't say that about Piers Morgan.
You said he was one of the best interviewers. One of the best interviewers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. That's fair game. But if you're going to ask me who the best interviewer in the game, I'm going to say Louis Theroux.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
I agree with that.
Best, if you're talking best MMA interviewer, I'm going to say it's you.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll take that. I mean, we could work our way up.
We're working our way up, yeah. I mean, Louis Theroux is the GOAT of interviewers. I think I've seen every single documentary of him. And also, you said you watched the vlog. Me and Louis Theroux are boys these days.
I saw it. He's asking.
I met his brother. I've met him a couple of times, Louis. He seems very nice.
I like how he's asking you on the spot to break down the fights. He's like, okay, so what are we looking out for here? And you kept it real. You said it was a nightmare matchup for Leon.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even know that was recorded. Difficult because my media guy Charlie, he walks around with what we call the stick, and now the stick is a very small, thin camera that doesn't even look like a camera. So he's not like walking around with a big thing.
Oh.
He's walking around with like a little stick thing, and most of the time a lot of other people as well don't even notice it's there, which is great because you get more genuine interactions. It's not like you're there with a big massive camera in your face and a big boom and everything. It's not like a lot of the stuff isn't rehearsed. It's just we were there on the fly. I didn't even know that Charlie was recording that, so that was it's pretty cool. I mean, Louis is a very nice guy, or he seems it at least. His brother seems nice as well.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about Mick Park and your friend. You could see the genuine angst that you had watching him fight, how excited you were for him for getting this opportunity, but the anxiety that comes with watching a friend as well. And it was a close one, a big opportunity. It seemed in the video blog like he was handling it pretty well afterwards, that he had a good perspective. And, to go 15 minutes with a veteran like that, surely there's lessons to be learned there, right?
Yeah, it was a tough one for Mick. I really, really wanted Mick to win that one because that fight kind of like flew under the radar a little bit. Mick is like a super nice guy, and he's fighting someone like in the top 10 on his like 10th or 11th MMA fight, which is unbelievable. I'm not talking about UFC fight, I'm talking about MMA. And there could have been, there was a lot on the line for him. He could have potentially got a new contract on the back of that. He would be in the top 10. He would have been a big name and hopefully become a little bit more mainstream. But I genuinely thought he won the fight, to be honest with you. And I probably am a little bit biased, but I watched it back and honestly, I thought that Mick 1, 2, and 3. I thought he just lost the first. I don't know. It wasn't a great fight. Mick, I would never make excuses for Mick, but Mick did have some problems in the training camp and stuff. But that's his job, whether he wants to tell people or not. That's not my. It's probably just going to look like excuses if he says it now anyway. But Mick will be back. Mick will be back. He's still learning. And you know what? There's only one way to get experience, and that's in there. So fair play to Mick, and I'm sure he'll be back better.
When you're sitting there and watching a lot of the Brits, have tough nights and the crowd is booing and the crowd feels flat, you've been in that arena when it's been on fire, when they're chanting and singing your name and chanting for Paddy and Molly, etc. Is there any part of you saying like, I just want to rip off this suit and represent the country and give these people a reason to cheer, or are you separating the two?
No, to be honest, I feel like we needed, and when I say we, I'm talking UK MMA.
Yeah.
We needed a big night at the O2.
Hmm.
And I was looking through the card top to bottom, and obviously there's a lot of names on there, UK guys, that people worldwide won't be familiar with, but I know them because I've seen them come up on the local scene and stuff, and through Cage Warriors and all the rest of it. And there's a couple of matchups on there where I was like, right, these guys aren't the best known guys in the world, but this is going to be a banger, and it's going to bring some excitement. And to be honest with you, it was just flat as hell in the O2 Arena on Saturday night. I was quite disappointed, to be honest, because I think that, I don't know, we needed something. Like you said, a couple of years ago, UK MMA was like absolutely banging. We've still got so much talent, but we just need that excitement. And the last few shows in the O2, we just haven't had it, unfortunately. I don't know why that is, but it just isn't flowing the way it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, some of the biggest names weren't there. Obviously, Leon's a big name. You weren't fighting. Patty wasn't fighting. Arnold Allen wasn't fighting. So there were some big names missing. And the results didn't help as well. You did a great job on your video blog. I think you're doing a fantastic job, honestly, with the production and the uploads and everything. So shout out to you and the team. There's the channel right there of setting the table for this past week. There was a video where you were on a train and you were just kind of talking about everything going on in your life, and you had mentioned that there's a meeting coming up with the brass. This is the biggest story in the sport. Let's not kid ourselves. When your next fight is going to be John Jones, all this stuff. We saw him emerge on Saturday at the Dirty Boxing event, and then on Saturday a picture emerged of yourself, Mr. Andy Aspinall, and the great Hunter Campbell of the UFC, and it seemed like everyone was in good spirits, unless this was at the beginning of the meeting before things got really down and dirty. No, it seemed like everyone was very happy to be there. And so inquiring minds want to know, this is it. What can you tell us? How did the meeting go with Hunter Campbell and your father?
Well, this was actually, the picture was actually at the end of the meeting. And believe it or not, that was probably about 2 a.m., that picture.
Wow.
We had a meeting so I did my event first with Adam Catterall. We had some beautiful people come out there to support us. We did a little meet and greet, and then we did some talks and stuff. It was amazing. It was fantastic. So big shout out to everyone who came there. And then straight after that, we went across town and met Hunter. That was probably around 10:30, 10, something like that. And we had a nice meal. We talked everything through. Hunter has always been extremely personable and reasonable with me. I can't say what he's like with other people, I don't know, but with me and my team, he's been nothing but hospitable and fantastic. And we had a fantastic meeting. Everything went amazing. I understand my position now. I understand what the company's doing now. And you got to stay tuned, my friend, because there's some big news coming.
Okay, well, this is promising. I mean, obviously you had expectations, and it sounded like you weren't let down, you weren't deflated afterwards. Dana White also telling the aforementioned Adam Catterall, "We're done, but we're not done." But it sounds like he is confident as well. So it seems like everything is moving in the right direction. Is that a fair way to assess things right now?
I think that's fair. That's fair to say. That's definitely fair to say.
Are you feeling, because I was getting the sense in that video on the train that you were starting to reach like the end of the road as far as your patience is concerned. Are you feeling like you're in a good spot?
I'm feeling like we're in a good spot right now, yeah. I mean, I'm a professional MMA fighter, UFC fighter, and that, we're doing all this media stuff lately. It's going really well, like I said, the YouTube channel's flying, the social media's flying, everything's going really, really good with that, which is good. That's really, really nice. But first and foremost, I like fighting people. That's what I like to do. And if I'm not doing that, I feel a little bit, that's what I like to do. I just like to do that. So that's the most important thing for me. And I've not been doing that over the last 7 months. But after the meeting, I'm feeling very optimistic about things. I'm in a really, really, really good spot with everything and my future moving forward. And I think Yeah, it's exciting times, man. It's really exciting times, and the break. I mean, it's not a massive break, to be honest. People are saying, "Oh, John Jones is holding up your career and stuff." Like, it's only been 7 months. It's not too. It's not too bad. And yeah, I don't want to say too much, but
I understand.
Exciting stuff in the future for sure.
So on that point, since July of 23, when you beat Marcin Tybura, when you came back, you have fought for a collective 3 minutes and 22 seconds, and that's because of your dominance. You've had 3 fights. All the fights have been a minute, 109, 113, very quick fights. And yes, you did last fight in July. You're 31, so one would argue prime of your life and career right now. You're flying high. And so, is there any part of you that feels like, golly, like you're like itchy knuckles, as they say. Like you would have been ready to fight in March. You would have been ready to fight in February. Is there any part of you that has to battle this? We remember Volkanovski saying that the time off was doing his head in, and he took a fight that he probably shouldn't have taken on short notice because of that. Do you need to battle any of those feelings?
Yeah, of course. Like, I could fight next week, and I think this is what people don't really understand is, like, I have not been out there doing anything else apart from training. That's all I do. That's all I do, man, is just train, get fit, get improving in the gym and stuff like that. So yeah, of course I want to fight. Of course I do. But it's got to be right. It's got to be right. And as I've said multiple times over, what I deserve is the undisputed heavyweight title. That's very important to me. And like, money and everything aside, that's really secondary. Like, what I want is to be undisputed heavyweight champion. And every day I'm working towards it, man. I'm not sat at home like scratching my ass and watching TV all day. I am like getting involved in the gym every day, and I'm in a really, really good spot with the training and stuff, because we set up this is kind of unintentional in a way, like we set up a training room where elite heavyweights are traveling to me from all over the world to train, and these guys are in camp, these guys have got fights coming up soon, and I'm just jumping in and getting involved with them and training at the intensity that I would do if I was training for a world title fight myself. So I'm in a good spot, man. I'm in a really, really good spot. Yeah, like you say, I would rather fight sooner rather than later, but I am also the type of guy that believes everything is happening for me. So I'm sure when the time comes, it's going to be the right time. And yeah, all good, man. I'm excited.
Not trying to add, fuel to the fire, but some interesting stats that we came across. You're now the second longest reigning interim champ in UFC history, 498 days. Hennebrow is number 1, 534. So if my math is correct, in a little over a month, you're going to pass him. John Jones's one title defense in the past 750 days is the least active a sitting champion has been in UFC history. Even Dominic Cruz, Tom, who was UFC bantamweight champion for 1,117 days between 2010 and 2014, managed to defend his title twice for an average of 1 title defense per 559 days. Brow became interim champion during this period. Only one interim champion has defended an interim title twice, and that's Henan Brow. But you have said you're not defending that title ever again, right? You're either fighting John Jones, or the next time you fight, it's for undisputed against someone else. And you said that in the video. I'm assuming you shared that in the meeting, and that was met well.
That is correct. Yeah, the UFC know where I stand with that, and that is correct. Yeah.
Did you think that Alex Pereira losing to Magomed Ankalaev helped your case?
Yes. I would never celebrate anyone else who lost. That just really isn't my style. But it definitely helped. Yeah, that's for sure.
I say that not to say that you were hoping that he would lose, but obviously John made it very clear that he was, at the time in November when he fought here at MSG, interested in that fight. But now Pereira loses. He wants to get his belt back. He's booked in a rematch. That negotiation chip is no longer there. You're the only guy. It's very clear now.
Yeah, there's not really many places for him to go right now. I don't think. I think the UFC made it clear anyway. I would like to keep faith that Dana and the UFC would keep the word that if John Jones is fighting again, it's going to be against me. But now that the Pereira fight's kind of been taken away with his loss and stuff, I think that kind of goes without saying anyway at this point.
A couple of months ago, we had one of the most decorated heavyweight champions in MMA history, the great Cain Velasquez, on the program, and I asked him about the fight. And I thought his breakdown was interesting, and it kind of went viral. Can I play it for you and get your response to what he said?
Yeah, of course, no problem.
Here's the great Cain Velasquez speaking about a potential fight between Tom Aspinall and John Jones.
So me just watching him, I kind of see his pattern a little bit, and his striking, the way he comes in and strikes. I think John sees it too.
Okay.
So I think with that, just because again, he studies, man. He does his homework. He's a master at this. He analyzes things. He studies you over and over again. I think just for that reason, he's gonna know what to do. So I don't think he beats John. No.
Your reaction to Cain's analysis?
I would never react negatively towards Cain. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. I mean, the fact that he knows that I exist and he's watched my fights is pretty cool to me. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's an MMA expert himself. If he thinks that, that's fine. And you know what? I'm not really hung up on what people think. This is MMA. This is the highest level of MMA in the heavyweight division. Obviously, the opinions are going to be split, and that's absolutely fine. Like, I respect his opinion.
His note about the patterns, what did you make of that?
Everyone's got a pattern. But I think that talking about a guy whose average fight time is 2 minutes and 2 seconds in the UFC, the shortest average fight time ever. If you can pick up patterns from that, you're pretty good, man. You're pretty good. And I think that for him to be able to see that, that's impressive. But the people that think they've seen my game with an average fight time of 2 minutes and 2 seconds, they're going to have a surprise coming their way, man, because I've shown probably 10% of what I can actually do. And for people to go out there and think that they know what they're watching when they've seen me fight for 2 minutes, there's a lot more there to show.
Do you think John Jones wants to fight you?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know, John. I've met him once. I know nothing about him. I have no idea.
What is your feeling? Do you think he, obviously we've heard the reports, I've heard the same about how much he's asking for, so he understands how big of a fight it is if he's asking for top dollar. Do you think he's asking for top dollar so that the UFC says no and he says, hey, I tried? Or do you think he genuinely wants to prove his point against you and then potentially walk off?
Oh, you mean like try and price himself out?
Yeah.
Did that happen against Francis Ngannou, or is that just a rumor? Because I don't really know the ins and outs of it.
Well, I guess it's your definition of pricing himself out. I think he deserves every penny that he's asking for because I think he's the greatest of all time, and the resume would speak for itself. But a naysayer would say, "Oh, the UFC is not going to give you this," so you can say, "Hey, I asked for this. They didn't want to give it to me. It's not on me."
I would also agree with the notion that he deserves every penny that he makes because he. Yeah, he's done everything. He's done everything that he can.
Okay. You did show up with the duck, and on the broadcast, they were like, what does that mean? What does that mean? To be clear, you were sending a message to him, yes?
No, I just like ducks. I'm always carrying a little duck around with me just in case. No, of course, it was just a little bit of cheeky bit of fun. It was a little indirect, that's all.
Yeah.
Bit of bounce, as we say.
I like it.
I just wanted to, just a bit of fun, mate. That's all.
There's a lot of people looking to. Are you getting texts from him right now?
From who?
I don't know. From John, maybe. I don't know if you guys are in cahoots.
Why could you hear that?
I can hear when it goes. Brr.
Oh, sorry. My phone's on the like cover.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
No, the text was actually from a tattoo guy.
Oh, are you getting more?
Yes.
Jeez Louise. You saw Sean Brady, right? In person. You're like, oh, I need to up my game.
Fantastic tattoos they are, actually. Sean Brady's very, very impressed with them. But no, I've got some words to finish on my arm, that's all. maybe soon I'll get something else, but I don't know. We'll see how we go, because in all honesty, I'm a bit over getting tattoos, so I've got some work to finish on my arm that needs finishing for maybe like a year now or longer, and then we'll go from there.
Are you confident your next fight will be against John Jones?
You'll have to stay tuned, my friend. That's all I can tell you.
I'm not asking, is it going to be? I'm just asking if you're confident.
I'm confident.
Okay. Do you think you fight before the fall?
Are you saying about that 6-month thing?
Yeah.
How on earth do you know about the 6-month thing?
Tom, listen, I don't pry about your personal conversations. I don't appreciate you asking me for my sources, okay? I mean, there's a certain respect here, What do you want me to come out here and reveal everything?
Fair play.
That said, can I just add something before you answer it? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry? Go on. No,
I was going to say, I could see a scenario where they're like, all right, you want 6 months. How about 5 months, and we'll meet you at your price, or we'll get close. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's that's just what I was told in terms of what he wanted to prepare. I'm not saying it's.
When does the fall start?
I believe September 21st is the.
September 21st. Okay, that was good. I mean, you knew that pretty quick. I don't know. At the minute, as Dana White said, there's still going to settle on a few things. So I'm just waiting. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go whenever, and I'm ready to fight, man.
You don't have to tell me the answer. I'm just curious. Did you set some sort of deadline?
I don't know if you would class it as a deadline, but there was talk about what's going to happen moving forward. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So I feel like we're getting. You were anticipating a big week. You were looking forward to a big meeting, and there is clarity, but it's not obviously done deal, set in stone, as Dana White said.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I can't really talk about, to be honest with you.
No, of course.
And I was prying at you, but you also like to pry, Ariel.
No, of course.
I understand that. That's your job. That's your job. I'm not pissed off about it. I love you very much, Ariel. It's not. I'm not pissed off about it at all. But I just want to be careful what I say. Do you know what I mean?
No, of course. This is too big. This is too big.
Hunter. I have a lot of respect for Hunter, and I feel like Hunter respects me as well. And I don't want to ruin that in any way. I feel like me, my old man, my dad, and Hunter, we have like a very good, good relationship, and I want to keep it that way if possible.
100%. Can I ask you about Leon Edwards?
Yeah, of course.
On the one hand, you could say, awful night at the office. He got stopped for the first time. But then on the other hand, you could say maybe the worst possible matchup for him. Yes, he's had success against wrestlers, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman. They're not Sean Brady, young, hungry, who's just itching for his chance. What's your assessment of who you saw there on Saturday?
Okay, so you want a full breakdown?
Yeah, I'd love it.
You want a full breakdown of this thing? Okay, so Leon was originally scheduled to fight Jack.
Yeah.
Jack Della Maddalena, that's right.
Yep.
And that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. His opponent was changed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, Jack is a southpaw bomber who comes to absolutely scrap, whereas Sean Brady he was actually switching his stance a little bit, but predominantly a wrestler / grappler. And in all honesty, I was so impressed with him. Like, I was sat really, really close. I was cage side. I was octagon side. And the small details that he does in his grappling were phenomenal. Like, his awareness of where he is and his opponent is inside the octagon is something that I was inspired by, to be honest. Like, I can learn a lot from watching guys like that. I mean, I wanted to. The first round was pretty even. They actually started the fight with a decent exchange, and then Leon went on the front foot a little bit. Which, to me, when Leon's fighting grapplers, which he has done for his last 4 or 5, he goes second a little bit too much. I wanted to see him put his opponent on the back foot and maybe go first a little bit against the grappler, because from my experience at least, when you put a grappler or a wrestler or someone who's grappling heavy on the back foot, it makes it a lot more difficult for them to shoot and initiate takedowns and stuff. So I wanted to see that a little bit more from Leon. Now, at the start of the fight, that's what he was doing. Like, he was doing that really, really well in the first round. Seeing Leon a little bit more aggressive, seeing letting his shots go a little bit more and stuff like that. Now, in the beginning of the second, Sean essentially started off with a big blast double and just controlled him in the second. Now, I'm not sure if something happened back there. I'm not sure if he hurt himself or he broke his will or he realised his strength and his technique was too much for him. But from that point on, from the blast double onwards, which happened at the start of the second, basically it was rinse and repeat. Leon could not get Sean Brady off. He didn't have a minute to breathe. And Sean Brady, in all honesty, just did a fantastic job of pressuring him. Sean Brady, like 101 in between striking and grappling. And also he was catching him with some good strikes standing up as well. I don't know if that, I've not watched the fight back, so I don't know if that came across on the broadcast, but he was faking the takedowns, coming up with strikes and then going back to the takedowns, completing them. And yeah, I mean, it was tough to watch. As a friend of Leon's, like, it was tough to watch. And I was literally sat right next to Tim Simpson, who's Leon's manager, and a couple of Leon's friends as well. And yeah, well, it wasn't very nice to watch one of your friends go through that, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like, was Sean that good or was Leon not that good? And where did it, where, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe it's a bit of both, but I was just blown away by Sean. To be the first man to stop Leon, first man to submit him, and to do it that dominant in the second round, 4 minutes and 57 seconds of control time, a UFC record. Leon's shooting was alarming there in the third round. It was as dominant, as one-sided as it gets against a guy that I obviously think very highly of.
Yeah, I didn't see, like I said, I've not watched the fight back. But somebody told me this morning that Leon's corner told him to take him, like, don't, the takedown's there if you need it.
Really?
Or something. Don't be scared to take him down or something like that. I don't know. This is just something that someone told me, so I don't know if this is accurate or not. But if that's the case, after getting like out grappled for 2 or 3 rounds, I wouldn't say that was the smartest move. Like I say, I'm not throwing Leon's corner under the bus because I've not seen it myself. That's just something I heard.
Tom, I told you we'd let you go at 6:10. It's now 6:11, so I apologize for that. You're a gent. You're a mensch, as they say. Do you know what a mensch means?
Only through the show, I know what a mensch is. I've actually I referenced the show the other day because I knew that I watched on the show and you were talking about John Cena.
Oh, yeah.
John Cena's turned heel. I mean, I don't keep up with the WWE these days. But
yeah.
I know that's big. That's a bold move from John Cena.
Oh, yeah. You met another big heel on Saturday, Drew McIntyre. What a legend he is, the pride of Scotland.
I did, yeah. He was sat right behind me. Yeah, big guy.
Love him.
Dude, Drew McIntyre.
Well, I can't wait to see how this all plays out. It's the most anticipated fight in the sport. Gigantic deal. I hope you get everything you asked for and more. I will leave you with this. At the weigh-ins for the Dirty Boxing event this past Friday, the one in Miami, John Jones now, it has been announced as a part owner. There was a bit of a chant in attendance. We love the Tommy Aspinall chant. Here's John reacting to a chant at the weigh-ins. You're on his mind there, Tommy. You see that? You're on his mind.
Love you guys.
He looks a bit uncomfortable there. He looks a bit awkward.
You know what? He's right. You are an asshole, Tom. You are an asshole for that response.
I'm just being. I mean, everyone's an asshole sometimes, especially me. So I don't take offense to it. But yeah, he did look a bit uncomfortable to me. He looked a bit awkward.
Oh God. Put that on the highlight reel. Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate it.
Yes, thanks, man.
Always a pleasure.
Great.
Thanks for joining us.
Speak to you soon.
There he is,
Bye.
the great Tom Aspinall. What a legend. Great to have him on the program. Oh, them's fighting words. John Jones is awkward in front of the chant. You know yourself. It's going to be great. All right, one of the big winners. There weren't a lot of Brits who were successful on Saturday, but in the people's main event, it was Nathaniel Wood, formerly known as the prospect victorious in his Battle of Former Cage Warriors champion fight against Morgan Charriere. He is kind enough to join us right now on the program. Let's say hello to Nathaniel. There he is. Hello, sir. How are you? And congratulations on the win.
Thank you, mate. I'm doing well. I hope you're good, and it's nice to be back on here with you.
Always a pleasure. I like the. Is this a Brad Pickett inspired hat that you're wearing?
No, Brad has the trilby.
Okay, I don't even know the difference. I guess that's
this is just me.
ignorant on my part.
I'll send you one.
Okay, fair enough. Congratulations on the win, Nathaniel. Very good performance. And like I said, there wasn't a ton to cheer about if you were a British MMA fan. I'm sure you take some pride in being one of the lone Brits to win on the card.
Yes, I always feel like when I fought in London, there was always pressure on my shoulders to, maintain that kind of. I was only the London fighter until recently when Michael Venom Page and Lonnie Kavanagh, my teammate, got signed. So me and Lonnie obviously were representing London, and I'm pleased that we both got the win and we both got good wins as well. So, it's always nice to feel like I've walked away and I'm the one that's representing in a good manner our country, and we've got a lot of negative stuff going on in our country at the moment. So I feel like it was more pressure to represent it in a positive light. And, I think a good win, flying my flag, etc., into the cage, done some good.
For longtime fans of yours and Cage Warriors fans, cool to see two former champions, obviously at 135 and 45, go toe-to-toe. Were you, I think I heard you say that you were disappointed you couldn't get a finish, but overall happy with the body of work?
Yeah, so I'm disappointed with the finish just because, I haven't got a finish for a while now, so I'm the decision king. But I'm glad, obviously, that one, I got the win. That's most important. And two, none of my decision wins are boring. It's not like I come in and I just hold on to someone for dear life up against the cage. The guys that I'm fighting, I'm dropping them. I'm making the fight entertaining. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get the finish. And the same with Daniel Pineda, my last fight. I'm dropping him. But these guys are tough, man. This isn't the UFC. These are the toughest guys on the planet. And sometimes it's not as easy to completely put them out. I think I'm a 5-round fighter. And I think if, I had another 10 minutes in there, that I would have definitely got some finishes.
So in the post-fight interview, you mentioned something about mental health and about if you're struggling, and that kind of piqued my interest. Then I went on your YouTube channel and I was watching your blogs. And by the way, great stuff on the channel. It seems like you're really, you're putting up a lot of stuff and putting some TLC in it. So there you have it. If you're watching right now, do subscribe to Nathaniel's channel. Some really high quality stuff. And in one of those videos, the one that I think is entitled "Biggest Fight of My Life," you talk about recently, dealing with a lot of anxiety and OCD and having to up your medication. And so can I ask you about that? What have you been dealing with over the last couple of months?
Yeah, so unfortunately I've dealt with OCD and anxiety my whole life, but I never got diagnosed till must have been about 8 years ago. And I always have what I would call a dark period where my OCD latches on, and it's so hard to get off that kind of looping cycle of intrusive thoughts, obsessing over stuff. I may have a negative or intrusive thought and then latch on, and you feel like every second of the day I'm thinking about it. I won't lie, I think I had about 3 weeks of the fight camp where I was really suffering, but on the previous interviews I said that I was fine once I started fight camp because I didn't want Morgan to, think that he had an advantage. But yeah, unfortunately, the first 3 weeks of this camp and before, I was in a shit place, mate. This was the worst place I've ever been, and I had to up my medication. I'm back seeing my therapist, and I'm in a good place now. The last 5 weeks of camp have been great. I've got good family around me, good friends, and the main thing that I wanted to just kind of say after the fight was that anyone that's suffering with any type of mental health, just talk to people, and I always know that when I'm in my dark period, it will pass. It's like having a cold, you're ill, you're going to get better. You just got to kind of wait for that cloud to pass. And, obviously being in the UFC gives me a platform to hopefully help some people. And, I thought I'll use this opportunity to do it. And I've had absolute floods of DMs coming in of people saying it's helped them. And to me, that's good for the soul.
I'm happy to hear that. Obviously, not happy to hear that you were dealing with that, and it does take a lot of courage in that moment to bring that up. Can I ask, what do you think prompts it? Like, why in the beginning of camp were you feeling that way? Perhaps someone would think, oh, you're about to get a big fight in your hometown on a big stage that would up the endorphins. You'd be feeling great. Why do you think you were going through that struggle early on?
So I've definitely found that it's having too much time on my hands. Being a full-time athlete means we've got a lot of spare hours in the day. Hence why, as I said previously, I tried to start some businesses to just keep my mind occupied, because I'm very imaginative. So sometimes my imagination can just kind of let loose, and I just start thinking and stressing about stuff. And I'll give you a prime example, mate. Now that the fight's over, this whole week, for some reason, I had an intrusive thought that I was going to catch some sort of brain bleed during the fight, and I could come home and be in a wheelchair, completely paralyzed. My daughter would have to watch me, be like that for the rest of my life, and just horrible stuff that I just couldn't get out of my head. And then I'm starting to stress, saying to my dad, is that me jinxing it? Like, is that going to mean that that's going to happen because I've had these thoughts? And, what a horrible thing to think of. But I couldn't shake it. I knew it was an OCD thought. It's an intrusive thought. I'm just not letting it go. And it was definitely stressful going into the fight, worrying about that. Luckily, obviously, once I'm in the fight, the adrenaline rush completely takes over and all of that's gone. But yeah, all week, I've been looking at my daughter thinking, man, if something happens, it's going to absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Man, I don't even like sometimes saying about what the intrusive thoughts are, because it just sounds so dark. And, obviously there are fighters that have had to deal with things like this. And, this sport it is a sport at the end of the day. And I always say that it is play fighting, but it's a very extreme sport. And unfortunately, there are consequences with it. And unfortunately, that one of them consequences of something happening has kind of been, in my head all week.
Is that something you've dealt with your entire life or entire career, or just recently, the intrusive thoughts?
It is, mate. So when I was a kid, this must have been when I was about 5 years old, I remember being obsessed with going to hell. And I wasn't even really religious back when I was a kid, but I'd always be asking my mum, like, oh, will I go to hell for this? And, if I said a curse word, will I go for hell for that? And I remember being a kid having to do little rituals where I had to like touch certain things and before I go to bed, just to make sure that if I'd done that, it means everything was going to be okay. And it breaks my heart thinking about it now, because I think no 5-year-old should have to deal with stuff like that. But I didn't know what OCD was. I didn't even know that I was odd. I just thought that, I'm just a kid that I didn't even know it was any different from anyone else. But growing up, I've gone, wow, that I shouldn't have had to be dealing with that. But yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't diagnosed with it. I just kind of thought it was a habit and didn't really tell anyone about it.
You're speaking to my soul here, Nathaniel, not to make this about myself, but when I was a kid, a little older than 5, I used to go to every single door and window in our house, even ones that weren't touched, like in the basement, that no one would ever touch. And I would have to hold on to the lock of the door.
Yeah.
And I would count to 4, and then I would count to 8, because that's how old my parents were. And I felt like I was like covering my whole family. I have OCD as well.
Yeah.
And so when you're saying this, it's wild to hear another human being say it, because I thought that, that was kind of like unique to me, but it's a crippling thing, because there are times where you're telling yourself, stop doing this. I don't need to do this. No one touched this, but your body won't let you go to sleep or won't let you carry on with the day if you don't do it, right?
100%, because if you don't do it, something bad will happen. Right. That's what you think will happen. So prior to the fight, I'm warming up backstage. I have to keep touching wood, where the lockers are, they're made out of wood. So in my head, I'm like, right, you've had a bad thought about getting a brain bleed, touch wood. And you'll probably see the UFC cameras backstage thinking, what is this kid doing? But in my head, if I didn't do that, for some reason, I thought it would happen. So I'm like, I'm not going to risk it. But obviously, suffering with OCD, you're now seeking help. I know that that's the problem. We're feeding the OCD by doing the rituals. But in that moment, I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to touch wood, even if I know it's ridiculous. So, yeah, it is a crippling condition. I wish more people would know about it. And I still hear people joke now, like, oh, I wish I was OCD so I could be more tidy. It's like, man, if only you guys knew. But, yeah, I feel like talking about it is helping people. I don't need to talk to anyone. Like, I've got all my people, my family, my friends. Like, I've got so many people that I can talk to, and it breaks my heart to just think that, there may be some out there that haven't got anyone.
Is that why you feel comfortable talking about it now? Because it's not something you've talked about your whole career since we've known you in the UFC and prior to that. But is it because you feel like you have it somewhat under control and have the right people around you to where you feel like you can be a role model for others?
For me, I just never spoke about it because I didn't want people to assume I was doing it for clout. Tyson Fury come out speaking about mental health, and I thought, I don't want people thinking he's jumping on a bandwagon and he wants sympathy or anything like that. So I never really felt the need to talk about it. I mentioned something once about anxiety, and then everyone asked me questions, and I'm like, guys, I'm not embarrassed to talk about it. Like, I've got one of the coolest jobs in the world. I'm a professional UFC fighter, so I have nothing to be embarrassed about. So yeah, if people, I don't think anyone would laugh, but if anyone thinks because I've got OCD or anxiety, that it's something to be embarrassed about. So hopefully anyone that doesn't have people to talk to can just kind of see what I have to deal with and maybe think that, okay, it's not embarrassing. Maybe I should talk about it and open up to others.
On the Monday after a big win like this, do you feel like any kind of weight of the anxiety or OCD gets lifted, or are the two not related really?
Definitely the brain bleed stuff, that's gone now.
Yeah, great.
I didn't take any injuries during the fight, and I'm back home. It will be a point where I'll start latching on to something else at some point, I know. And I do feel that OCD is uncurable. I don't think you can cure it. I think you just know how to deal with it. So as I say, I am getting better, and it's a shame because 2024 was a really good year for me. Like I didn't suffer much at all. And then the start of 2025 was just a complete drop on my mental health. But I've been here before, mate, and I'm strong. I've got good family around me, and I'll definitely get better and get through it.
Could I ask? You've been, somewhat vocal, I would say, public about some of the issues that your daughter has had to deal with since you became a father. And congratulations, by the way, to you and your wife.
Thank
I
you.
know you're expecting a second. How is your daughter doing these days?
So we've got a scan tomorrow, which is an update scan to see how her condition's doing. And we're all kind of waiting on that. But other than that, she is the happiest little girl you'll ever meet, mate. She is always smiling. She makes me just remember, like, anything I worry about, just try and get over it, because she's dealing with a lot more than I am, and she's always smiling. So, because of the health conditions, that's why I haven't been as active, because traveling, let's say, all the way over to America to have a fight, while my daughter has to stay at home because she had to have the feeding tubes, etc. It's hard, and dealing with the OCD and anxieties, trying to focus on fighting one of the best fighters on the planet whilst my mind's thinking about what's going on at home is just, it's not a good place. So obviously this fight was in London, which was amazing because it meant that I could be at home with her every single day. And I know that if there was any issues to occur, I would be there. Traveling obviously halfway across the world with time differences and stuff, it's just become a little bit of a obstacle. But I'm hoping, as I say, that tomorrow we're going to get some really good news, and that's going to like put my mind at rest.
And what is it specifically that she's dealing with?
So she had two things. She had something called CDH when she was born, and she's had the operation for that. And so far, everything's like great with that. She at the moment has a large hole in her heart, which is called an ASD, which is quite a simple procedure, they said, to fix. But she will have to have open heart surgery for it, which obviously, you've got kids yourself. The thought of my daughter going into an operation and having an open heart surgery is crippling when I think about it. So I'm just hoping that tomorrow that they give us good news and say that the hole's slightly closing more. And if it does, they might be able to do it by keyhole surgery, which apparently is a lot more simple procedure. And obviously they don't have to actually completely open her up. So yeah, it's stressful. But because she's so happy, mate, I just, the doctors even said that she's doing so well. Like, she doesn't look ill. She's breathing fine, because a lot of babies have problems breathing when it comes to this. So yeah, I'm very proud to be her dad, and fingers crossed that tomorrow we're going to get some positive news.
Wishing you guys the absolute best. Sending all the positive thoughts your way. And when is the second slated to arrive?
4 months.
Oh gosh.
I wanted to get on the Abu Dhabi card, but it's literally 5 days before 5 days after. So I think my wife will divorce me if I try and get an Abu Dhabi card.
Yes.
When their due date is,
Yeah, and that would be the fight night that was just announced, right? The one that was just announced, not the October one, the one in what is it, late July? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Is there one in October? Sorry.
Well, they always do the October pay-per-views over there, right? And so last year they did a fight night in the first week of August, and then the pay-per-view in October. So I would imagine the same type of thing this time. So maybe that one.
Yeah, maybe Abu Dhabi's not too far for me. It's a lot easier. So yeah, but yeah, October's quite a while away. So I still want to try and get one in before my next baby's born. The whole reason I went up to 145 was to stay active. So it's been a bit tough, but life brings obstacles. So I just have to chip away at them and just get through it.
Perfect opponent?
Yes.
Who would that be?
Amazing.
No. Who's the name for the next one?
Perfect opponent for me, excitement-wise, would be Lerone Murphy if he lost to Josh Emmett, and maybe we could get like a battle of the Brits going. Obviously, we've had our stuff in the past. I actually don't. I wish him all the best. I actually do. I do actually hope that he goes in and beats Josh Emmett. But I'm thinking if he doesn't, I've just come off a good couple of wins. Why can't we get that going? Give the crowd something to be excited about and get to put our money where our mouths are. But if not, just anyone. Honestly, Ariel, anyone just to keep busy, keep getting paid, and keep being able to show my skill set in front of the world.
A lot has been made of the sort of atmosphere on Saturday. You were in there, you had tunnel vision, you're not focused on these things. But we were just talking to Tom, who was in attendance, and he's been there as a competitor and a participant. Did it feel different to you? Did it feel a little flat in the arena? Because we're so used to the O2 being on fire for these events. Could you sense any difference?
I'll be deadly honest with you. No, I was completely pumped up before the fight. When I came out, the reaction for me was amazing. So I don't know if other fighters just, lacked it. I did hear from my dad, who was watching most of the fights backstage, saying that the fights weren't really that good. So maybe it was just that, maybe people were just like, none of these fights are that exciting and they wanted more blood or something. I don't know. But yeah, for me, my fight was amazing. And then after, obviously, I had my media and then shot straight off home. So for me, it was fine.
By the way, speaking of your media availabilities afterwards, I noticed that you and Loner Kavanaugh did it together, the sort of mini press, and that's your friend and teammate. Any particular? Usually we don't see that. Everyone kind of gets their own thing now. Was there a reason why you did that?
No, they asked us to do it.
Okay.
So one of the UFC media girls, she just said, I would like you both to go on. I'm not sure if maybe they were in a rush and thought get two done at once.
Right.
But yeah, it was nice for me to be able to sit there with my little brother from the gym and get to speak about him and, tell the media what I think of him. So yeah, it was quite nice, and it was a little bit more fun than usual.
What do you think of him, for those that missed it?
I think he's the flyweight champion of the world. He just hasn't got the belt yet. I believe that if he went in there tomorrow, he would absolutely go in there and demolish the guy. So, I just think it's not a matter of if. I just think it's when he gets a shot.
Wow.
That's it.
Already? He fights Pantoja tomorrow. You think he smashes him?
Mate, he's been in the gym with me, Brad Pickett, all of my coaches for 10 years now, smashing us all over the gym. So I don't think he's going to have any issues whatsoever.
Wow. That's high praise. Well, there's another name that British fans can be excited about coming up the ranks. You're still one of those names. Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you.
Again, good luck to you and the family tomorrow. Welcome back, and wishing you guys all the best. Thank you as always, Nathaniel.
Thank you for having me.
There he is, Nathaniel Wood, joining us. Great to have him on the program, and looking forward to seeing where he goes from here. Obviously, family most important. And I appreciate him talking about some of that OCD stuff, because it is, it is crippling. There's no doubt about it. It is not easy. I know exactly what he is talking about. So much respect to him, and hopefully him talking about it helps out some other people out there who may be fans of his, or just watching the event, or listening. Let us move along. The star of the evening, of course, we all know who it was. The boy from Philly went in there. He took the fight. We recall him telling us on the program as we were talking about the state of the welterweight division and who Leon should fight next and all this stuff. I remember him texting me while we were doing that, like, hey, don't forget about me. And then he came on the next day and said he wanted the fight, but he didn't get the fight. It was Jack Della Maddalena who got the fight. And then he was kind of at peace with it because he had just become a father welcoming a beautiful girl to this world. And he thought, yeah, you know what? The timing isn't great. But then, what did you know? And a funny thing happened. Shavkat Rakhmonov got hurt. Jack Della got moved to Montreal, and they called Sean Brady up. And they said, let's go. This is your opportunity. And boy, did he seize it. He walked into the O2 on Saturday. He went to England, to the UK for the very first time in his life, and he absolutely steamrolled Leon Edwards. One of the most dominant performances that you'll ever see. 4 minutes and 57 seconds of control time in the second round alone, a UFC record. First man to stop Leon, first man to submit Leon Edwards, and now firmly a supremely high contender, a top contender, the toppest of the top contenders in the welterweight division. Let's talk to Sean Brady now about it all. Kind enough to join us. He's back. Sean.
What's up, brother?
Congrats. You survived. Congrats.
We survived. Thank you, man. It was good talking to you yesterday on the plane, but I was like, we got a lot to talk about tomorrow. So
absolutely.
Here we are.
Can you even describe, like, I always think like the Monday after a big fight, a big win for an MMA fighter, that you got to be flying, right? Like everything, food's got to taste great, drinks, everything, life has to be good. But the Monday after a big win, when you just became a father and now you could come home, you bet on yourself, you took this fight on short notice. Can you even describe the feelings that are going through you right now, the emotions right now?
Yeah, I really don't even think it hit me fully yet. Me and my wife were just talking about that. It's like, it's definitely going to take a couple of days to settle in, but man, the Monday afterwards, I'll tell you, I've only lost once. The Monday afterwards don't feel as good when you're coming off losing the fight. So yeah, winning. I was going for a whole week. I went to London super early just to make sure I got acclimated. So being home last night, got to wake up and feed my daughter a couple of times in the middle of the night, let my wife get some sleep. It's been amazing just being home with them. Yeah, it's all kind of hitting me here and there, but I think I'm still just on cloud nine.
Right back to daddy duties. Yeah, you headlined O2, you beat Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
Change them diapers.
Now I'm at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
I was talking to my buddy earlier. I'm like, I beat Leon's ass, but I come back home and then I'm right. I get put back in my place. But she was 6 weeks old yesterday. I got the call 2 days after her being born. So I really didn't have much time and I was gone for an entire week. So I didn't have much time to do anything to really help my wife. Like, yeah, I did some stuff here and there. So I told her 1 whole week, I'll be home, no training, no doing anything. But here I am. I just did another interview and she was holding the baby and she was scarfing down her food. So, but no, it's it all went great.
We won't keep you too long.
No, you're good.
Can I ask, like, you said all the right things when you took the fight, but obviously you had revealed that, like, hey, you were kind of at peace when you didn't get the opportunity because of the baby and whatnot.
Yeah.
Were there any doubts? Oh man, biggest fight. This is going on. I'm not 100% ready. Short notice. Were you putting on a front at all?
To be honest, no, I wasn't. Yeah, it was definitely like crazy that it happened. I posted a text message that I sent to Lloyd the Tuesday we were getting discharged from the hospital. I texted him and I was literally looking at my daughter and I sent him a picture. I'm like, man, me and Kristen were just talking earlier. There's no way I would have been able to leave her. Like, it's just like, I was like, it's so good that this worked out. And then legit 12 hours later or something like that is when he called me and was saying that Jack was hurt and they needed me to fight. So, but yeah, as far as I was getting ready for a fight, I didn't know when I was fighting. So I was more than ready to jump in and have those 4 or 5 weeks to get ready. So I honestly think it worked out really good for me because usually I do these super long, harder training camps and I'm burnt out or hurt by the end of them. This one, I was training very hard, but still I'm taking my Sundays off. Like, I wasn't really getting ready for a fight, but I was training my ass off. So it allowed me to just ramp up for the next 4 weeks and go into this fight week feeling great. I had the best weight cut I ever had. I was on weight the night before. Everything was just it was just perfect. Besides London, I'm not a fan of London, but besides London not having big Airbnbs that can keep a lot of people, everything went pretty smooth.
Wait a second. Why aren't you a fan? What happened?
So
That was your
we
first.
had a so
That was your first time, right?
that was the first time.
Okay. What happened?
We stayed. The Fighter Hotel was near the Canary Wharf.
Yep.
So I don't know, but to get London and traffic in London is so bad. I had a nice Airbnb like 45 minutes away that had like 15 bedrooms, a sauna, all this stuff with all this space. But they're like, hey, you're going to be in so much traffic trying to get here. It's going to be miserable. So I had to get a few different small Airbnbs, like 10 minutes from the Canary Wharf, so I could go there and do my media, train, do everything we were doing. And it worked out fine. But the houses we had, like, everything over there was just small. Like the Whole Foods, we're very lucky in America. I don't know. I think we're spoiled, but everything was just small. Like it wasn't a lot of space, and I had 15 people over there with me. I had teammates, coaches, my parents were there, my best friend was there, my camera guy was there. So, but it all worked out great. It was still a smooth week. I wind up checking into a hotel Thursday night just for the night to do my weight cut there, and I woke up and just drove over to the Hilton, where it was 5 minutes from there. But besides that, yeah, it was pretty good.
How were the people towards you?
Dude, I'm from Philly. I'm expecting to get torched out there. These people are coming up to me. I'm like, is Leon Edwards even from fucking London? Like, where's this guy from? Because these people are being so nice to me. If you're like when Jeremy Stevens was here, when he fought Eddie, I was at the press conference. This man was getting destroyed by everybody. If you were coming to Philly and you were fighting me, you'd be getting roasted on the street. You'd be getting roasted everywhere, probably threatened, to be honest. But I got none of that in London. Everyone was super nice. Even on my walkout, like, they're like, it's going to be so bad. They're going to boo you. I'm like, I got in the cage. I'm like, this is nothing. So, yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
By the way, you mentioned the people who were there for you, your parents and whatnot. Obviously, your wife wasn't there. When's the last time she missed a fight?
So I started dating Kristen my last amateur fight. Since my last amateur fight, she never missed a single one of my fights.
Wow. Was that weird for you?
Yeah, and it was hard. And that was where, like, putting on the front, like, yeah, it was definitely, like, it wasn't the front. Like, I knew that was going to be the hardest part of it. But me being a man, I just had to, like, go through that and know, like, hey, like, this is part of life. Like, you're not always going to be together, and you have to get through things. But yeah, like, when you're during fight week, like, you get emotional, you're cutting weight, like, you're getting ready for this fight, and you want your significant other to be there for you to so you can rely on them, you can lean on them. But she had to stay home with the baby. At one point, we were talking about flying her out. Like, I was like, all right, like, maybe we'll get you in Friday. Maybe you'll come in Saturday. And we have a dog that is like he's a Belgian Malinois, and he only likes certain people. So, like, you can't just drop him off at a kennel. And then we have a newborn. So her mom was here helping her, but her mom's older. So, like, to put a baby on her and a dog, like, it would have been a lot. And then the fucking airport caught on fire Friday night. So I would have been waking up. If she was on a certain flight, they would have diverted her back to Philly. So luckily, it all worked out. She stayed home with the baby. She felt very comfortable watching she was like, I have no nerves watching on the TV. So, yeah, it worked out great. But in the moment, I definitely wanted her there. But we knew that was a part of it.
By the way, you mentioned getting emotional as you're weight cutting, and you start. I've talked to enough fighters who say, like, you start to, like, assess your life and start thinking about things.
Yeah.
Being a dad now for the first time, did that come into play?
Yeah, 100%. Even third Friday at the ceremonial weigh-ins, they're playing the UFC. Like, the UFC Journey came out, and they did a piece on the baby and all that stuff. And I don't watch that stuff before I fight. Like, I don't have social media on my phone before I fight. None of that. But they started to play it when I was at the ESPN desk, and I was like, these motherfuckers are about to get me. Like, I'm about to cry. But I pulled it back in, and I didn't. And I watched it afterwards, and it was an awesome piece. But yeah, it gets emotional for sure. And like you said, when you're cutting weight, like, it sucks. And you start thinking about your family, you think about all the sacrifices, especially this, like, it was a lot. Leaving her for a month. I mean, essentially leaving her for a month. It felt like it every day. I wake up, I had to eat. I was in my truck, practice, come home, rest, practice, in home, practice. Like 3 times a day, I'm out. I'm getting PT. I'm getting massages. I was in and out of my house for the 5 weeks I was home. I was barely home, but I knew eventually, like the way it couldn't have gone any better. Going into Leon's backyard, shutting up London, shutting down Leon, beating Leon the way no one's ever beat him before. The risk was well worth the reward.
I don't want to ask, like, did you expect it to be that easy? Because I think that's disrespectful to you and what you did to get ready and
Yeah.
to Leon. But
Yeah.
it was so dominant. It was so
Yeah.
one-sided. Was it even more so than you had thought?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show like how good I really am. And then that's where I've been at now, like believing in my skills. And I knew from the first time I hit him with a foot trip, like I knew I was going to go out there and I'm like, listen, even if I can't get this guy down, I was like, I'm going to make this a fucking fight. I'm going to win no matter what. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And I think he underestimated me a lot, thinking I was just going to come out there and try to grapple. Because I remember fucking punching him right in his face right off the beginning. And he made a face. I'm like, yeah, like I'm not here just to hump your leg. And especially when I got him on the ground too, I was hitting him hard and I just seen him diminish in front of me. And my coaches were telling me the whole time, go forward. They're like, well, I was looking at him in the corner. He already had his head down. We've seen him do that shit before. His coaches are trying to pull those bullshit speeches, and it fucking wasn't working. And I just knew I was going to break him.
5 of 7 takedowns, 221 total strikes landed of 295. He was 23 of 35. Just 23 strikes landed in the entire fight. Significant strikes,
Yeah.
57 of 93 for you, 23 of 35 for him. That was really it. And there was one moment where he shot on you, and you said in the post-fight press conference that you heard him like almost talk to himself afterwards.
Yeah, he said something. I'm pretty sure he said fuck, or he said something to his corner because we were right there. He said something, and I was like, why would you do that? Like, I know I did it because I was pushing forward on him, and he shot him. Like, he's taken down Usman. He took down Bilal, controlled Bilal for almost an entire round. He took down Colby. So I don't know if he just thought he was going to try to mix it up, but I knew we game planned for that. Like, I knew at one point he was going to shoot, and it was the easiest sprawl I ever hit, and then that just set up the next round.
So in that post-fight press conference, I talked about this earlier. You walked up there and like there was something so different about you. You know, now we've talked to you for the last few years and whatnot.
Yeah.
The confidence that you were oozing, like you were almost kind of like, I felt like you were like almost, you weren't mocking him or the media, but there was a
Yeah.
thing like, now what? Like you were just kind
Yeah.
of, you know what I mean? Like someone said to you,
Yeah.
what's your prediction if you fight Bilal? And you said Bilal by decision. Like, I don't need to even entertain these stupid questions.
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
just a
yeah.
vibe about you that was
Yeah.
different. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, because Leon, to be fair, he was kind of like I don't know what's his deal, but we did the first. I'm super respectful. My wife thinks she hates it. Like I'm hugging dudes at the weigh-ins, dapping them up. Like it is what it is to me. I can be your friend and go and try to kill you, but we did a face off at the O2, and it literally took 5 seconds. But like when we did it, we walked up to each other, and obviously, bro. I'm not 6 foot. I'm not 6'2". I'm 5'9". Like I've never been tall, but he walked up to me and he said something. He was asking me about my height, and I was like, he was like, "How tall are you? 5'8", 5'9"?" Like he was being a dickhead, and I was like, "I'm 5'9". And I was like, "What are you?" I was like, "What are you, 6'2"? I was like, "You got them." I was like, "You got those big shoes on." Like just making a joke of it, and then we faced off for legit 5 seconds. Walked off. I don't know if it's his manager, his brother, like. And him were like, oh, this is super awkward. Like they said some stupid ass shit. And me and my team looked at him like, yo, you're in London. Like this is your fight week. Like you're bitching about having to do some little ass media. Like it just from that point, from there on, I'm like, yo, I'm not touching this dude's hand. If he tries some stupid, because I seen him try stupid shit at the weigh-ins, I was like, I'm going to give it right back to this motherfucker. And that's why at the weigh-ins, I didn't go, like, I always shake everyone's hand. I didn't touch his hand. I didn't have social media, so I didn't see his interviews, but I seen him, like, saying he walked up at the O2. He didn't know where I was at because I was so short. So I posted a picture of me on top of him, mauling him, like, putting, like, just laughing. Like, I'm respectful. Like, GSP's my favorite fighter. Always respected guys, but when you're an asshole like that, like, don't, like, I can give it right back. So personally, fuck Leon, fuck him and his whole team, and that's how I feel about the whole situation.
Did he say anything to you after the fight?
And that made it even worse because I went up to him. I'm like, yo, man, like I'm like, you're a great champion, blah, blah, blah. He just like kind of like brushed me off. Like, obviously he's upset, but even his whole team, like, I try to like say what's up, and they were corny as shit too. So it was just whack. My coaches didn't even go over. They're like, fuck that. Like, we're not saying shit to these dudes. And then even before they raised my hand, I try to like touch him behind Jason Herzog, and he's just salty. And then seeing all the shit he was saying about me throughout the week, I'm like, all right, I wish I was even fucking meaner to this dude. And that's why like I posted this shit about the headshot dead and them not having guns in London, because now I'm going to make fun of you and I'm going to poke at you because you're a fucking asshole. So maybe Bilal was right about him. He's all butthurt about all kinds of shit. So I don't know.
Man, yeah, I saw that, and I was like, this is a different side of Sean. We've not seen you this fired up.
Listen, that's what we do. We roast each other. We make fun of each other. I'm like, if you wanted to do that, even because I've seen him put the gun to people's heads at weigh-ins. I was like, if he puts that stupid ass water pistol to my head at weigh-ins, I'm gonna slap the fucking shit out of his hand. So I was ready for all of it, and that's why when we did the face-off, I walked right up, and my nose was like on his lip. And then he wasn't looking at me. I'm like, you're not looking at me. I'm like, you're going to be looking at me tomorrow. So, hey, he's somewhere crying in London right now, and I'm back, happy man in Philly.
I thought it was interesting. It didn't seem like you felt like you needed to campaign or call out Bilal. It seems like you feel like the work has proved its point.
Yeah. If you see, and then if you go look at that, because people were asking me about that, they were asking me about the number one contender all week. And Leon's talking about it, and I'm like, I have to go fight Leon. And listen, whatever beef I have with Leon, he's an amazing fighter, and I took him so serious. You think I wanted to get head kicked like Kamaru did? Like that was a real possibility. Like he can do that to anybody. So I took him super serious. I wasn't looking past him at all. Wasn't thinking about Bilal. Wasn't thinking about number one contender. But now afterwards, if you see the way I did Leon, no one's beat him that way. No one's submitted him. No one's dominated him the way I did. Even when Bilal beat him, he lost a couple rounds. Leon took him down and had his back. So I did it better than anybody. Bilal said that he wrote the game, the blueprint. Like I did it better. I did it way better than him. And in 2022, good on Bilal. He got the best in me. But when we do fight, it's going to be a completely different story.
Who will your next opponent be against?
That's where it gets interesting. Could be me versus Shavkat, because I don't know what they're going to do with him. You know how it is. They say you might fight for the belt next, but you never know. So I could see me and him, number one contender, or the loser. Like if Bilal lost to Jack somehow, like I would love to fight him right then. If Bilal wins, I would love to fight him. But if they want me to fight for the belt, whoever wins, obviously I'm going to do that. But I don't think there's a need for me to take a back step. Like I seen someone tweeting about me and Usman. I'm like, that's the fight I did want. Now I just went and beat the guy who beat him twice and finished him. So I just set myself up great. Like, yeah, I'm in an amazing spot. So I'm not going to take any stupid fights. I think the UFC is probably very happy with me and what I did for them and going out there and taking this fight on short notice because there wasn't many other options. And so we'll see what happens.
How quickly do you want to return?
I don't know. I'd say like summertime probably, because that's like 4 or 5 months from now. Like obviously I didn't have any, like we always have small little nagging injuries. So like I'll take a couple weeks, get my body better, spend some time with my daughter, and then see what they say. If they say they want me to fight Shavkat for the number one contender, we could do that. And then depending on what happens with the title. So I think some things have to play out first, but I definitely want to fight multiple times this year. Like it felt so good to get a fight in this early in the year, not waiting around for anything. I feel like my ball is rolling really good right now, and I definitely want to keep it going.
Do you think there's any chance we've seen people have title shots scheduled, get hurt, get cut? Charles Oliveira happened to recently, and then they lose the title shot. Do you think there's any chance your next fight is for the belt? You're fighting the winner of Bilal JDM.
I think it could be. I mean, if you look at the last guys I beat versus the last guys Shavkat beat, like I think my resume, like beating Gilbert and then beating Leon Edwards versus beating he beat Wonder Boy, and then he beat Ian Gary in a very like not great fight. So I think just off that I could get it, but I'm also not rushing that either. If I have to fight again before that, that's fine, but it just has to make sense.
And so just curious, just want to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying. Is it title shot, meaning a fight against Bilal, or if Bilal loses, or number one contender fight against Shavkat? Basically, is it winner of that fight, Bilal or Shavkat, that you're interested in next?
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested in the loser of the title fight. I'd be interested in the winner of the title fight, or I'd be interested in Shavkat. Yeah.
Okay. The other one
I think those options make the most sense. Like if you look at the rankings, and they're not out yet, but I mean, the way they should work, I was 5, Leon's 1. I should be 1 on Tuesday morning. So we'll see how that shakes out.
What about the one that you had called out after the Gilbert win, Ian Machado Gary?
That's like now it's like no, like no, like I went out there, I took this out. I heard he was bitching that he didn't get the fight with Bilal.
He was very upset.
You lost your fight. What are you talking about? Like you don't get you came in second place. You don't get rewarded for that. Like it made the most sense for it to be Jack. So, but yeah, he's number 7 at this point and lost his last fight. I won my last 3. Just beat a former champion, who was a really good champion. So yeah, I got bigger things going on than Ian Machado Gary.
Is it better for you if Bilal wins in May or if he loses? What do you think's better for your case to fight for the belt?
That's a tough one. I think if he wins, but like I said, either way, I want that fight. If he wins, I want to fight him, or if I have to fight him to get to the belt, I want to fight Bilal. And it's nothing against him. It's just me as a competitor. I think we'll have a great second fight. Now there's a storyline to that fight. It'd be a good build-up. And I think I see a lot of people online saying that they'd be very interested in it.
I know you've been traveling and you don't want to leave the family. It is in 2 months. Just a little. You probably thought of this already, but you sitting in the front row in Montreal, just kind of like making your presence felt. I feel like
Lloyd already texted me. He said we have to go to Montreal.
You should go, yeah.
And that's a quick flight. I think it's only like an hour and a half from Philly, or 2 hours. It's not bad.
It's also the best city in the world. I don't know if you've ever been to Montreal. I am from Montreal.
I've never been to Canada.
Oh, bro, you never been to Canada?
People have been saying, they said a lot of good things about London, and I was not impressed. I was not. Me and my team were like, we were almost kissing the ground once we hit American soil, boy. We couldn't wait to get home. But I mean, Lloyd did tell. He's like, we'll be in Montreal. I'm pretty sure we'll be in Montreal.
I'll give you guys the spots. You got to get some smoked meat. You got to get some bagels, some poutine. Like you got to do it right. Is that where you're from? That's where I'm from. Yeah. We don't love, Canadians Flyers. There's a bit of a history there.
I got you.
We'll treat you well.
You want a little drop of something cool that happened to me last night?
Yes.
GSP is my favorite fighter. Like I love George St. Pierre. I remember being a little kid, like not a little kid, but like a teenager watching him fight. I'm like, man, like he is the coolest guy ever. Like I want to be just like him when I'm a fighter, and just model my whole career off of him. And he texted Dean Thomas and said something about me. And so I found that out on the plane coming home. And then last night while I'm feeding my daughter, I was looking through Instagram and I seen he followed me on Instagram. So that was, I know he's Canadian, but that one hit me home. So if GSP hears this, you're the man.
The freaking man. You gotta slide in the DMs.
He's the, I'll slide in his DMs. I want to train with him. I truly think he's like one of the best minds to ever do it. Obviously I was a Renzo Gracie guy. He was a Renzo Gracie guy. He still trains with Gordon. So I definitely would love to get down to Texas and get with those guys and get some training with him. But yeah, he's amazing. He's same thing. Like he was probably a little bit taller than me. Wasn't the tallest guy for 170, but he made it work. He'd never wrestled in high school. I never wrestled in high school. He would dominate all these guys. And I think that I'm trying to follow in his footsteps.
He's also one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in any walk of life. And you are as well. And so I will actually say that the comparisons go one step further. I was saying this when we did our post show on Saturday. His first loss was against Matt Hughes. Now, that was for the belt, so a little bit different, but then he avenged it in the rematch and beat him. It almost feels like you and Bilal here, right? Very similar. Like it was a little too early for him.
Yes.
like
Yeah.
you've said, it was a little too early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot there.
There's a story there. So yeah, and I always said it after that loss to him, I'm like, it's all going to come around, and it took a while, which sucked. And a lot of people wrote me off after the Bilal loss because no one gave Bilal the credit that he deserved. I still see it. Like people are like, this dude, how is he this good? But he got TKO by Bilal. Listen, you have one night to go in there and be on 100%. And sometimes it's not your night. Like people show up to work every day and feel like shit. We have to go out there and perform to the best of our abilities. And sometimes it's just not your night. And that's the way things go. And October 22nd in Abu Dhabi, that was not my night. But the next time we fight, it definitely is going to go a different way.
March 24th, 2026, exactly 1 year from now. Where do you think you're at?
I'm UFC champion, 100%. I truly believe that. If it's not by the end of this year, it'll definitely be by early next year. I'm going to be UFC champion.
Can I ask, what do you think happens to Leon now? I know you don't necessarily care for him all that much, but the question is like, is he?
Yeah.
You know, is that it? He's just 33. He's not that old, but
no, he's going to bounce back. He's a great fighter. I would like to see him. I would like to see him versus Ian, him versus somebody like that. It might actually work out better for him that he might get to take a step back in competition, not in competition a little bit, but maybe get like a better stylistic fight for him. But you say that, and he's done really well against a lot of grapplers. So yeah, I don't know. I think he beats Ian. I think he still beats a lot of these guys in the division. He's just gotta not look past them and think about other things. You know, focus on who you're fighting, bro.
By the way, can I ask you, right after the fight, you went to Dana, I think Dana and Hunter, and you said something.
Yeah.
What did you say to them?
Just thank you for the opportunity. I mean, it was huge, you know, for me to. I think this is the fight that really, really put me on the map. My social media is blowing up. Everything's just blowing up, and it's just like money, everything. It just worked out really, really well for me and my family, and it sets me up for a lot of good things. So I just told them, hey, thank you guys for the opportunity. I know that in the past I probably wasn't the person to do things like this, but they called on me on short notice, and I did them that favor, and yeah, I just want them to know, like, I'm here to fight, and just let them know, like, yeah, let's go.
And by the way, is that the new clothing line there that you're repping?
No, this is just an Eagles hoodie, but yeah, my stuff's the one that was in the picture with the crew neck with the eagle on it. Yeah, Fuel Hunt. Grit and Guillotines is my my line by Fuel Hunt. So yeah, thank you guys for throwing that up there.
Oh, so that's your line under another line.
Yeah, so Fuel Hunt is the company. Grit and Guillotines is my line under them. So anything that has like it looks like my back tattoo. It's a little Japanese Hanya mask. Anything that has Grit and Guillotines with that Hanya mask from Fuel Hunt is mine.
Amazing. Yeah. And so right now, no, you're just gonna chill, right? Nothing. You're not doing anything. Now you're full on.
Yeah. I'm gonna work out and do things at home, but for at least 1 week, no training. I think, and that's something I need to wear just to decompress. Like the fight, like I didn't get hit or anything crazy, but you're sore afterward from cutting weight, training all week. Cause like I train up until the weight cut. So we're training twice a day up until the weight cut, traveling back, like going there. I went on a flight overnight. So I slept, which was great. But coming back yesterday, I was on such a high. I didn't sleep for like almost 2 days. Like last night I slept a couple hours. I'm still just like on cloud nine. So yeah, my body's just adjusting back to getting on time. And yeah, like I feel bad for my coaches though. Like they have Joey Pfeiffer in Mexico City. So they're flying to Mexico in 2 days. And then they have to go back to Vegas the following week for Pat Sabatini. So these guys are heroes in my book.
Well, that's all well and good that you got this out of the way and that you're feeling good and that you're healthy because there's a boy back there who's been talking a whole lot of shit about you. GC, the floor is yours.
Crazy.
I don't really have anything to say, man.
Did you see the pace I put on this man? What do you think I'm going to do to your Peloton when I get on that?
I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it for the Aviron. Everyone keeps saying I'm going to get submitted in mile 1. I'm ready for it, man. I'm ready. I'm going to let you enjoy this. Congratulations. Unbelievable performance. I'm going to let you enjoy this.
I seen your comment. You're the man. I appreciate it.
I'm not going to take away from the spotlight here. Enjoy this, but know that I'm waiting. I'm ready to take your shine away whenever you want me to take it.
This is going to happen.
We need to set the date.
I'm going to have to come up.
He's accusing you of ducking. He accused you of taking this fight to duck him. Could you believe it?
This is actual ducking. I mean, everybody does know it. You went to London. You left the country to get away from me, Sean.
It's going to happen. We're going to set it up. I have to avenge some of my boys who you're beating out there.
Oh, wow.
So
change a couple diapers, flip through the calendar, and we'll pick a date.
Sounds good.
Wow, them's fighting words. I like it.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, Sean, whenever you're ready, we'll be here waiting. You're the man. Thank you so much, and congratulations. Really, really, really happy for you.
Thank you, Ariel. You're the best in the business. Thank you. I really appreciate you doing what you do, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. All the best. There he is, the great Sean Brady. Makes a strong case for number 1 contender. Let's see what happens to him here, but he is that guy. What do you think of that? What do you think? Do you feel good about that, GC, or do you still think that he's kind of like...
Seemed a little non-committal.
Yeah.
Seemed like he's not in. I mean, you talk about the pace he puts on Leon. Come on. I mean,
could you imagine if he does come here and you beat him? Like the feather in your cap.
I'll retire. I'll retire.
We just got him to say Aviron.
I mean, he did put on an insane pace.
Yeah,
it was terrifying. I was sitting there watching. I was like, what did I get myself into?
His freaking back with the tattoo.
Yeah, intimidating.
It's scary. All right, well, I can't wait for that. That would be an incredible scene. Congratulations to him. What a time. And it's really cool to see he's really coming into his own. He's coming into his personality, the confidence. Gosh, he's come a long way. And amazing to think he didn't wrestle. He didn't wrestle in high school. Like he is really kind of like GSP. He's the American GSP. What a guy. That's Sean Brady. We do wish the best to Leon Edwards, of course, and I think a lot of people are just kind of writing him off and saying that he is done. Obviously, he has some work to do. He's got to build himself back up. But a former champion who has now lost to the current champion and 1 or 2, of the best contenders out there in Sean Brady. If you have Shavkat at number 1, nothing to sneeze at, nothing to scoff at. Let's see how he rebuilds himself and how he rebounds from this. All right, let's move along to our next guest. So happy that he was able to join us on Friday evening. We unfortunately found out about the passing of former heavyweight champion, the great George Foreman, one of the all-time great characters, one of the all-time great personalities, one of the all-time great fighters in the history of boxing and combat sports, a larger-than-life icon, a man who has given us so many great moments, so many great fights, so many great stories over the years, and, oh, by the way, one of the all-time great businessmen as well. And I thought it would be great to have Teddy Atlas, who has spoken so highly of George over the years, but also had to go toe-to-toe with him, had to game plan for him. He was Michael Moore's head coach when they went toe-to-toe all those years ago, and, of course, produced one of the most memorable stoppages, one of the most memorable knockouts, one of the most memorable victories in boxing history. And so Teddy, the absolute legend that he is, one of the best minds in the history of the fight game, kind enough to join us. Let us say hello to the pride of Staten Island himself, the great Teddy Atlas. Hello, Teddy. How are you?
Hey, Ariel. How you guys doing? It wasn't that memorable to me, by the way.
I understand. Yeah, I meant for the larger,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, listen, it was a historic moment. It spoke of his greatness, that he was able to do such a feat at 45 years of age. I mean, and after losing 10 straight rounds, where it was in the 10th round, but he had lost every moment of every round and took a lot of punishment. But, he did what Big George did. He persevered. He found a way. George, Floyd, I was listening to you when you were just introducing what we're going to talk about George and that I was coming up. And the only thing I would add, everything you said obviously was right. Businessman, champion, personality, all of those things. I mean, but he was also one other thing. He was a teacher. He taught us really that if you believed in something enough, strong enough and you were willful enough to follow that belief, to have that dream, nothing was beyond us. Nothing. Not even age. He was a teacher. He really did. He taught us that. He taught us that, that age could be a number. You hear the cliche, you hear it all the time, but sometimes somebody comes around who's pretty special and they put truth to the cliche, to the phrase that you've heard for eternity. That age is just a number. And he kind of put truth to that. He wins the title after 40, 45 to be exact. And he gave again. He taught people that you never give up on your dreams. Uh, Not because of age, not because of losses, not because of anything. If you have a dream, you pursue it, and you eventually will get to it. So I add that to his list of many, many, many talents, attributes. The man was a special, special man, and I think that it's almost short to say that it was boxing's loss. I hear people saying boxing's loss. It was our loss, and I mean our as people, because when you lose somebody special like that, somebody that makes other people better, then we've all lost something. We're all a little bit less today because of the loss of George Foreman. And you don't usually hear that about too many people, period, in the limelight, but especially about athletes. I don't think you hear that often. I think maybe you could have heard it about a man named Walter Payton, that kind of man. I think you could have heard it about someone like that. But you could hear it about George Foreman. He was that kind of special person.
Do you remember the first time you heard of him, crossed paths with him, met him?
Yeah, well, 30 years ago, whatever it is now, I have a way of trying to forget. But when we fought him with Michael Moore uh, at the press conference, I had met him before, but never formally like that in those kinds of quarters, so to speak, up close and personal. And he was doing his thing. He was mentally getting to Michael. He knew the age difference. Obviously, was extraordinary. What was it, 20 years, something like that, 20-year age difference. So
Hmm.
he understood. He understood that. He understood that he needed more than just the great physical gifts that he had. He needed the mental gifts that he had, and he had great mental gifts. And he started going to work. The fight started before the fight, and he started going to work. Michael was wearing these, I think they were Casio sunglasses at the time, and I didn't want him wearing them. I just had a feeling. And sure enough, George wasted no time. He said, "What's the matter, son? You afraid to look at me?" And he was he was he was starting to get to my fighter. Starting the first round had already started, and I couldn't let that happen because I knew that my fighter it was about the mental area. It was 75% mental, and so I wound up getting a little aggressive with George. I went up to him and I said something to him, and Dan Duva was there. God bless him. Great promoter. He's not with us anymore. He died way too young, just like George died too young. But they got between us. Obviously, I I if I was looking to fight with George, I wasn't in my right mind. But it really wasn't about that. It was really about standing up for my fighter, not letting George push around my fighter, not letting him get into his mind, not letting him start to deteriorate him before the first bell rang. And so we had a situation that wound up being on USA Today all over the country. They wound up printing it and putting it up and everything. And I knew why I was doing it. I was doing it again to just let my fighter know that this guy wasn't going to come in here and bully him and push him around. And it was an interesting way to greet somebody. It was an interesting way to greet an icon. But at the end of the day, you know, George was he was such a gentleman. I remember when we came back, we had gotten knocked out by him, and then we came back and we had one fight on HBO, and then we were gonna fight Axel Schultz outdoors in the soccer stadium in Germany if we won that fight. So everything was on the line to get a second shot at the world title. And George was the commentator on HBO with Lampley and all those guys, Merchant. And I remember he came Michael came back after the first round. Now remember, this is after, he was an undefeated fighter, right? And he's been knocked out by George Foreman, 45-year-old, great fighter, but 45-year-old man. And to me, I had to get rid of the ghost from the attic. I mean, that was really, for me, that was the fight. We trained, we had a good training camp down in Tampa. We did everything right. He was in great shape. We knew what we had to do. I wasn't concerned at all, about the carburetor, the engine. I was concerned about the driver. And without the driver, it doesn't matter how good the engine is, how good the carburetor is, how good the car is. Doesn't mean a damn thing. So it was all about the first round, to let him know that he was okay. So as soon as the round ended, normally I'd say this, I'd say some instructional stuff, right? Something like that. I didn't. I immediately said to him, okay, now you know it's normal. It's just another fight. Everything's good. And George said, because I remember that everybody had let me know afterwards, because, they felt we had this tension. And it wasn't really tension, it was that one moment that I just explained. But everyone let me know, say, you know what George said? George just said, that Teddy Atlas is pretty smart. And that was, that was a little something from George. But he was, again, you left out one other thing. He was a salesman, obviously, businessman, so that covers that. But he was a great salesman. You know why he was a great salesman? We believed him. We trusted him. He was our George. He was our George. He really was. He was, I'm saying this obviously in a loving way, but he was our grandpa. Later on, he was the guy. He could sell mufflers. He could sell, obviously the grills and all that stuff. But we trusted him. We trust, and you know what? He also put a definition or an explanation into what reincarnation might look like. Because some people believe in reincarnation. They think you freaking die in this place and then you might come back. But he left this place and he came back. He left after that. He had a 10-year after he lost to Jimmy Young, obviously the fight in Zaire with Ali, and then Jimmy Young. And then he left and he went on to be a preacher with the church. We know the whole history of that. And he was gone for 10 years. And he came back reincarnated, a different person. And I remember everyone saying, oh, he's being, he's showing his savvy now. He's changed. He's not this stolly, mean guy that walks around with German shepherds and everything. Now, he's recreated himself and he's making believe he's a nice guy. I remember I said to somebody who said that, I said, no, he's not. He's finally being allowed to be who he is. And they were like, Teddy, what do you mean? I said, he's being allowed to be who? That's who George is. He wasn't allowed to be that in his first life with the people around him. No, he had to be Darth Vader. He had to be the boogeyman. He had to be that. It worked. Got him a heavyweight title and everything else. But he was finally allowed to be what George really was. And that was George. He loved people.
We showed that footage while you were telling us the story of the press conference, and it's not something that you often see, but gosh, the cojones on you to step up to George Foreman like that and kind of get in his face. But the backstory is great. You were just trying to rile up your guy. You were just trying to. When you see this footage, Teddy, when you see yourself as a youngster get in George's face, what comes to mind?
Thank God he didn't get up.
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, obviously if he got up, he got up. But
What did you say to him
you know,
there?
you're doing. And something along the lines, you know, it was no curse words or anything. I wouldn't be disrespectful in that way. Although some people say shoving him was disrespectful. But again, I had a job to do. When you're a trainer, you have a job to do. I mean, it's not much different than being a parent that maybe maybe you got called into school, right? As a parent, and maybe, you found out your kid got bullied by some bully. And you, you go there and you want your kid to be able to feel the way a kid should feel, not less, not less than he should feel, not less about himself. You don't want that to happen. So you go to school and you wind up finding out that the father is a bully too. And what do? You might get into a little something with the father. And why are you doing it? You're not doing it because you came there because you felt like picking a fight with the father, or you didn't like the father. You came there because of your son, because you were backing up your son, because you were protecting your son. And that's what I was doing. And I think on certain terms, especially later, George understood that. I would just about say for sure. Me and George had a good relationship as the years went on. I remember I was in camp with Vosic. We were getting ready to fight for the light heavyweight championship of the world, and with Alexander Vosic, and I was in California. And I remember I got the tragic news that his daughter had taken her own life, and I called him, and I also sent him a letter, and I just want him to know that his hurt was my hurt as a person. And I just felt that way about him because, again, uh, George was a lot more than a guy who sold hamburgers, a guy who knocked guys out, a guy who beat five guys in one night. He was a lot more than that. And I understood that. I respected that. I appreciated that. So and I'll tell you something else about George. And I remember I said this because I was supposed to be on a show with him. And it was a radio show a few years back, and I couldn't make it. I was training a fighter, maybe one of the last fighters I trained, and I just couldn't make it. So I wrote him. I sent him a message to the producer to give it to him on the show, and he really appreciated it. He got even the producer told me he 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 showed emotion about it, and basically what the message was how much I respected him because not too many people in life. We always talk about being truthful. We do. We talk about the truth will set you free. Being truthful. But how often do we have the capacity to be truthful? Think about it. Not too often. Not. I try every day to be better in that area. But he was really truthful, and I wrote it. And just by his response, to me, he validated what I was feeling and saying about him, which was basically that after the fight in Zaire, a lot of people would not have been able to deal with that loss. And listen, it was 10 years. I often said when I was doing all the broadcasting for ESPN and on my podcast later, that it was like going through an exorcism. That he spent 10 years trying to get rid of the ghost of Manila or the ghost of Zaire, not Manila. But what I was saying to him was that he discovered something that most of us don't have the depth and the courage to go into those places to discover such things. The difference between the truth and the lies. I mean, come on, we all lie to ourselves. I mean, we get through days, we get through parts of life by lying to ourselves, but we try to lie less. And the ones who can lie less and hopefully minimize it to almost nothing, they're the ones that can be the most successful. And that's why George was so successful in his comeback, because in that fight, Ali broke him down. Yeah, he got tired. Yeah, he did the rope-a-dope, all that stuff. Come on. But he broke him down mentally. He made Foreman, for the first time in his life, he made him feel like he had no say in that ring. He always had a say in that ring. And we always have a say in life, whatever we do. Whatever we do, it's our choice, how we behave and what we do. But sometimes under pressure, I'll use that word, under pressure, under the extremity of the moment, right? The event, you start to think that it's not your choice anymore. That it's the moment's choice. You know, it's the air's choice. It's the opponent's choice. It's the other team's choice. No, 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 no. It's your choice. It's always your choice. Until you say it's not your choice, that choice can't be taken away from you. It can be given away by you, but it can't be taken away. And George gave it away. George let Ali, the great Ali, I'll say it again, the great Ali, he allowed him to think that it wasn't his choice of what he could do that night. It wasn't his choice anymore. And that was a lie. And when he came back, and I said this in the message, he was much better. I said the old George would have kicked the pants off of the young George. And he smiled. The producer told me he smiled because he would have. And the reason I said he wasn't better physically when he came back, I get it. I know. Come on, I think I understand that. But he was better mentally, emotionally. He was stronger in those areas, the most important areas. And he would have beat the pants off of the overalls off of the young George Foreman. He would give him a lesson because he understood the difference between the truth and the lie when he came back. That the truth is you always, always have the choice of what you're going to do, no matter how extreme the situation. It's always your choice. And it was always his choice from that time on. Did you see the way he performed against Holyfield? A young Holyfield, a great Holyfield. Yeah, he lost the heavyweight title. Did you see how he competed? If Holyfield didn't have a great chin, he would have knocked out Holyfield. How he competed and how many shots he got hit by Holyfield. And he stood there like an oak tree in a hurricane. He wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have been able to have done that in the first coming, the first incarnation of George.
One of my favorite little factoids about that fight against Michael Moore is that, obviously, as you just spoke to, the fact that it hurt him so much that he lost to Ali. As the story goes, he went to Paris. He stayed in his hotel room for 2 weeks. He was ashamed to come back to America. He thought that he'd be a laughingstock, and shortly thereafter, he takes his 10-year hiatus. He comes back. He works his way up to the fight against Michael Moore for the heavyweight title, and it's some 20 years later. I do believe he was wearing the same trunks on that night that he wore against Ali.
Get the crap out of me. It was like seeing Freddy Krueger on Halloween.
You noticed in the moment? You noticed?
Noticed when he came out of the hallway there,
the tunnel.
The tunnel. When he came out of the tunnel and he was wearing those trunks, of course I didn't show it to my fighter.
Yeah.
But my heart dropped. My gut dropped. I said, "Oh, we're in for a night. We're in for a night." Because he knows exactly what he had to do. And he's facing. See, that's what I meant about his greatness. He was willing to face that night. He was willing to, face the ghost, to eliminate the ghost. And that, that's what I meant by we all love to talk about, how we want the truth. I want the truth. The movie. That's a great movie, of course. The line, with Nicholson and Cruz. What do you want? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Well, most people can. But George really wanted the truth, and he put himself to the test. He said, "The difference tonight, no matter what happens, just like Zaire, no matter how many rounds I lose," and he lost into the 10th round. No matter how many rounds I lose, it's my choice. It's my choice. And it will be my choice. And he chose to be heavyweight champ of the world.
You know what's so fascinating about that fight? If you don't watch the fight, but just watch your interactions with Michael in between rounds, first round, second round, third round, fourth round, you would think that Michael was getting his ass whooped. But in reality, he was winning. He was quite dominant. And yet you kept pushing him, saying, like, this is not enough. Like you were continuously round after round unhappy or trying to light something, almost because you I don't know, maybe you suspected or you felt like something was coming, like the moment was coming. Why was that? Why is it? Because as someone watching at home or rewatching, you'd be like, why is Teddy so upset right now? It seems to be going his guy's way.
The trunks. I knew George was there for the duration. I knew George's plan. I told him every day in camp. George's plan wasn't to win a decision. He wasn't going to outwork or outnumber, with punch numbers, outvie him, Michael Mora, who's like 26 years old, whatever. That wasn't going to happen. He knew that. He was going to have one moment where he caught him. And he got that one moment. And that's why, because I was scared. I was scared in a controlled way, in a teacher's way, in a trainer's way, in a parent's way, if you will. I was scared of what was lurking that maybe most people couldn't see. I have to see it. I told them every day. Remember HBO came there one day to do their thing. And afterwards they were like, they were being polite and they were, being human beings, and Teddy was sorry, blah, 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 all that stuff. And I remember one of them said, "Oh my God, when we were there those 2 days, remember each day at the end of the workout, when you got finished, the whole 3 hour, 4, whatever it was, we got finished everything, the sparring, this, that, the instructional. I would make them get in the ring and go." And Michael on that day said, "Teddy, I know. We do it every day. We don't have to do it anymore. I know, Teddy, I know. He's not going to try to win a decision. He's going to try to knock you out, and he's going to make him feel comfortable in front with his jab that's 3/4 instead of full jab, to make him feel comfortable and safe. At a distance, you shouldn't feel comfortable and safe. And as soon as you cooperate, soon as you feel comfortable and safe at that distance, boom, he's going to put the right hand behind it, and you're never going to see it." And Michael was arguing with me that day. "Teddy, I know. I said, "No, this is the only way he wins. We're going to go over it again." And what an idiot I felt like, or whatever you want to call it, how I don't know, unsuccessful, how I felt like I didn't get the job done, because that was the only way you could lose. And even though I recognized it, obviously I did not thoroughly get it through to my fighter. So to lose that way, it took a minute for me to to go through that and to get through that privately, obviously. To know that was exactly how we lost, and exactly what we prepared for. I mean, think about how you feel as a trainer, as a teacher, as a surrogate parent, because trainers are surrogate parents, that you tell your kid not to let that happen, and it still happens.
Hmm.
How do you feel? you feel like you didn't do your job. You feel like you didn't protect your kid. And, so that was my own version of Zaire, if you will, my own version of the ghost being in the attic, so to speak. But it was, again, George, I kept telling Michael, move to your right. Move. He's a southpaw. I want to be a southpaw. So if you're a southpaw, you want to behave like a southpaw. Move to your right. Get the angle. Get outside his lead foot. Get to your right, and get away from the power punch. He's looking for the right hand. Get away from it. Get away from it. Move to your right. Move to your right. Move to your right. Don't stand in front. And at the end, he stood in front. I knew he can't hit you with that if you don't stand in front. I mean, I think we know that. So how did he get? So everyone said, "Oh, he got lazy. He stood." He didn't get lazy. George Foreman showed his magnificence. He showed his genius. He showed why he's so special. He's so much more than a big, strong guy who could punch like hell and can throw an uppercut and lift you off the ground like he did with Joe Frazier. Oh my God, he's so much more than that. He couldn't line him up. George couldn't line him up because he needed him to be in front. He kept moving to the right. George's left. So what did he do? He threw a throwaway left hook. Seconds before that. Watch it, Ariel. You'll see it. He threw a throwaway left hook, bop, just to move him back this way. Thank you. Bang. Night over. And you know what really bothered me? Because you want to protect your fight. What really irked me was when people say, "Oh, did Michael quit?" Because the punch didn't look the way we want punches sometimes to look for us to be satisfied. With the head going back, crashing down, bang, bang, with the Batman stuff, boom, bang, bing. No, it was just clean. Boom, boom. And people were like, did he quit? Yeah, that wasn't a hard punch. Hey, morons, go in the ring and let a guy of this quality, of this level, of this power, of this size, of this talent, let him blind you with a jab. And that's the last thing you see, and then a right hand's behind it. And you had no time in your mind to register, get ready. Get ready. Man the battle stations. Steel yourself. There was no time. If he saw the punch, he would have handled it. He never saw the punch. Again, the craft, the genius behind the physical parts that most people never forget about. They don't see it. They don't appreciate it. They have no way of appreciating it because they don't understand it. I understood it, and I had nothing but respect for that man. In so many ways, he came to one of my. You've come to the foundation where we help people, the charity foundation that we run. It's been 28 years now, and George came. Yeah, George came. That was it was a lot of years ago, probably over 20 years. Definitely was over 20. Yeah, it was definitely over 20 years. He was still working at HBO. And I would take a guess that was probably about 25 years ago, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood. And he came, and he stayed the whole night. He didn't have to stay the whole night. It was enough that he came and, he took some pictures and was sitting up on the dais like you have, and you help us raise money, and I appreciate you very much. That's why I always say yes to you. You're a great interviewer. You have a great audience. You have a great show. But that's not why I say yes to you. I say yes to you because of the human being you are and that you've shown me. And that's why I talk the way I talk about George, because he showed me that. He came, he helped us raise money, and he stayed, like I said, the whole night. And I never forget what he said to me. We were about halfway through, and you've been there. You hear the testimonials, the people that have been helped, all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, he turns to me. He was sitting next to me on the dais. He turns to me and says, "I never knew you had this is a real foundation." And I was like thrown a little bit. I really was. I said, what did you think it was? He goes, I don't know. He goes, this is a real foundation. He said, I've been to these things where you have to wear a black tie and it's $1,000 a plate and you get all these, so-called whatever people, big shots and everything. And he said, but it never felt like it was a foundation or whatever it was supposed to be. He said, this one feels like it is. That was, to me, that was as good a compliment as I could get that we were doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing.
It's one of the highlights of my year, honestly. Every time I get to go to Staten Island, right before Thanksgiving, you put on an incredible event, the Dr. Theodore Atlas Foundation event in Staten Island. It's an amazing time, and the people that come out to support you and what you are doing is amazing. I feel the same about you, and this is everything that I wanted it to be. Having you on to honor and reminisce about the great life of the one and only George Foreman. This is everything and more. So thank you so much, Teddy. You're the man. It's an absolute pleasure. The podcast, by the way, is called The Fight. You can see it on YouTube or anywhere that you get your podcasts. Keep up the great work. Always an honor and privilege to have you on to speak to you, to pick your brain. And thank you for taking some time out to remember George Foreman today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you for being the person you are. Thank you.
Thank you. There he is, the great Teddy Atlas. Remembering the equally great George Foreman. What a history they had together. One of my favorite moments, my favorite stories about that fight. And if you've never seen The Legendary Nights, HBO back in the early 2000s, actually when I was an intern there at HBO Sports in the early 2000s, had a program called Legendary Nights, a series. And it's about, I don't know, maybe 8 of the more memorable fights in HBO boxing's history. And of course, since then, they could have done much more. It was hosted by Jim Lampley, who, by the way, will join me on tomorrow's episode of Ariel and Adi on the DAZN Boxing Channel. They have one of the best episodes is about this fight. And I highly recommend you could probably find it either on HBO Max or Max, YouTube, etc. Anyway, one of my favorite things I remember the Sports Illustrated cover. I remember it. I was 12 at the time, very, very into sports. But George Foreman, he remembers the trunks. I remember George walking out in a hoodie, like truly looking like an old man. He's 45 at this point. Like that's George Foreman. That's him before a heavyweight title fight against the guy 20 years his junior who is on an absolute roll. This is what we look like as old men, as we're going to the gym trying to shed some extra pounds. Like you don't see fighters coming out like this.
No, that's Unk right there.
Right?
Unk's
that is Unk status
on somebody.
And he freaking showed up like that. Like he had George. This is a compliment to the man I'm about to talk about. Like he had a Daniel Cormier like quality to him, where he kind of feels like a guy that you want to hang out with, have a meal with. He's warm and cuddly. That was the antithesis of his personality back when he fought against Muhammad Ali. Gosh, I keep getting this wrong. In Zaire, 40 years ago. Like the complete antithesis. Wait, was it 40 or 50 at this point? That would be 30. No, is it 50? If it's 75 would be... Wow, it is 50. Holy shit. Yeah, 75 would be 50. Holy crap. Anyway, there's so much. Go watch When We Were Kings. Watch Legendary Nights. Another fun factoid, we talk about the circus-like atmosphere surrounding boxing, influencer fights, Jake Paul fights, misfits, all this stuff and more. Did you know, after that fight against Muhammad Ali, the most watched fight of all time, after this fight, heavyweight champion, look at that, world heavyweight championship, after that fight, did you know that George Foreman's next fight was at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, against 5 men, the Toronto 5? Did you know that? In an exhibition on Saturday, April 26th? Look at that. Look at that poster, by the way. The greatest boxing exhibition spectacular. He only fought on one night in the year 1976. And it was this card in Toronto. And Cosell and Ali were calling it for ABC, and Ali was trolling him the whole time. But remember this. Remember Ali Inoki. around that same time frame. When you talk about like, oh, Canelo, how dare he think about fighting Jake Paul? Look at what they were doing back then in the 70s. This has been a part of boxing's DNA since well before the 70s. But that's a crazy story in its own right. Someone should do a doc on that one. So there's much there. May he rest in peace. By the way, we didn't mention this. An amazing broadcaster as well. When he was a part of those HBO telecasts in the 90s, he was an amazing broadcaster while fighting too, which a lot of people didn't do. And a damn good grill as well. Do they still sell the George Foreman grill? Can you still get it?
Oh, yeah.
You can still get it.
Get it on Amazon right now.
Legend.
Fry up a couple patties in honor.
Yeah. I mentioned Misfits, guys. We did get some disappointing news on Friday. The highly anticipated Dylan Dennis versus KSI fight scheduled for this weekend, this Saturday, canceled because KSI, there it is. Due to an illness, Misfits Boxing unfinished business scheduled for March 29th in Manchester has been postponed. A further update will be issued next week, including a new date for the event. Can I tell you one of my biggest pet peeves in fight sports? Does anyone want to guess?
Yeah. Oh, guess?
It's the postponed, canceled nonsense.
Okay.
I saw KSI and Dennis get into this. The fight's canceled. Like, there's no guarantee they're going to run it back. It's not happening on March 29th. Like, I saw Dylan give him crap, and then KSI say, like, you nitwit, it's just postponed, it's not canceled. No, this is like a thing the UFC does. It's canceled. The event is canceled.
But if they are already in motion to do something
if
new,
you come out and tell us that on May 10th it's happening, it's been rescheduled.
So postponed, you just want
as
out
of right
of the
now,
lexicon.
unless there's something else. Yes, unless this isn't a rain delay. It's not happening the next day. The event was canceled. And oh, by the way, the whole thing was canceled. Now, Dylan went on social media and he posted a screen grab of me talking about the first time. By the way, are they like the Tony and Khabib of influencer boxing?
For sure, everybody's clamoring for this. And
years from now,
can't wait.
This will be looked back.
We'll be doing docs on it. He said, "Keep that same energy, Ariel, because I torched him for pulling out." Now, he wants me to come on here and torch KSI. And what I will say is the circumstance is much different in the sense that I don't think anyone ever believed that he was going to fight him the first time. I think we all thought, I said it here myself, that he was ready to fight him this time around. It's a bad look for KSI, and I'm mostly upset at KSI because now we're, as I said to Mams, I said, Lord help us, Dylan's going to be even more insufferable now. Like the victory parade that he threw for himself on Friday, and by the way, he's well within his rights.
It's 1-1 now.
It's a somewhat moral victory for him, and it is interesting that he kind of upped the trash talk in the aftermath. Did you notice that? Like, he went really hard in the paint.
Well, because now they don't have the contract and the you can't say this in the lead up.
Is it the contract, or was he relieved?
No.
This is going to piss him off. Look, this is a moral victory for him. All jokes aside, he's even more insufferable now, but that's KSI's fault.
It's just postponed. We'll get it soon.
He has brought this upon us. Now, it's not a great look, because if KSI says that he could beat him with his eyes closed, if he's going to torch him, all that stuff, I knew, he had to have known when he posted that video saying that he was sick and not feeling well. I'm not doubting that for a second, but he had to have known he was going to get roasted, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
No one's going to be sympathetic.
But I also think it's by a very small group, right? Like in the KSI sphere, in the universe of KSI's, concerns and people that are addressing him, I don't think the people who are like, you pulled out of a fight with Dylan Dennis, make up a large portion of it.
I see. So I saw some people say, "Can't believe you ducked Dylan Dennis. What a new low." I see some people saying, like, the fight just wasn't selling, and this is why you're pulling the plug. We'll never really truly know the answer, but it's as the great Connor Burks once said, it's tough when you have to pull out of a Dylan Dennis boxing match.
It's tough. That's word for word quote right there.
It's just tough. It's a hard pill to swallow. And by the way, this hasn't been brought up. They talk about postpone, right? I mean, I reported this late last week, right after the Boys in the Back. GFL got their promoter's license. They're going to California. Andy Foster confirmed May 24th and 25th. They told me about several of the fights. Like, they can't just say, okay, now we're going to do it on May 1st, right? Like there's a very good chance this just never happens. And just to confirm, that's why I feel like it's more canceled than postponed. Are they going to come back and do it in September? Who knows? And I don't know if many people were clamoring for this, but all to say, this does make Dennis insufferable. He is allowed to spike the football. Everything that he is doing is for the most. I haven't seen everything, but I feel like it's fair game. They had a date. You pulled out a week before, and the reason given while very, very valuable and very valid, I should say, is not your typical reason for pulling out a fight, right? Like we don't often hear people say I was sick and that's why I couldn't fight. True or false?
Most of the time, not unless it's pretty grave.
Right.
Right.
So it's tough.
The
It's
guy
tough.
can't even
Or
make
if
it to the scale.
Yeah, or if it's very close to the fight itself.
Right.
No, you're right. Dylan should treat this the same way everybody treated it when he had to withdraw. 100%. He deserves to have that.
I just love that it's 1-1 now.
It's 1-1, baby.
No one stepped into the ring.
By the way, I mean, these are just PR. The postpone is just PR bullshit.
Does the fight ever happen?
Nobody ever takes it seriously.
You think it happens?
Yeah, I do think it happens.
Wow.
It's crazy. Now we're like, Dennis is the guy. Like, Dennis is the one who we're relying on here. I feel like, yeah, he's going to.
Old reliable.
He'll make it to the
Dylan, old reliable Dennis.
Is it wild that it's like, again, we will always compare KSI to Jake Paul, and I still think that's the biggest fight. But on the same weekend.
Wait, the biggest fight for what?
For influencer boxing. It's not.
I mean, do we count Jake versus anybody else or no?
No, but that I don't know if that's influencer boxing.
Okay, then
you know what I mean.
If
From
that's
that scene.
Influencer v. influencer.
Yeah, then sure.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
Jake versus Logan. Bigger.
Maybe on a worldwide.
We
Yeah,
excited
you're right.
for the doc to come out.
The show.
Paul American.
Wait, what's that?
Isn't that the name of the documentary?
What you mean the series? It's a series.
Series.
Yeah. Is that? Oh, that's this week, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Jake versus KSI has lost a lot of steam.
Yes.
A real.
But isn't it crazy that on the same weekend that like this falls through and it just kind of like falls through? It's like.
Yeah.
Jake is involved in this thing with Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua is playing around with it. Like he's playing back. He's posting screen grabs himself. Jake's saying on his podcast that he wants to fight him.
Favorite part about this is
crazy.
Is the screenshot. You can see he's got the AirPods connected.
Does he? Well, let me see. This is a screenshot.
Audio.
There it is.
Going through the AirPods.
AirPod, and there's just
Only one of them was lit up.
I know you tried to get to the bottom of the AirPod thing, but it felt like he kind of like deflected a little bit.
Yeah.
We need truly to understand what is happening with the Anthony Joshua
I think he thinks
AirPods
it's fashionable.
Yeah.
To have the
No,
one
but
in,
now
it looks cool.
We're now clearly this is not a fashion thing. Nobody's looking at him. He has them connected. They are that much a part of his thing. I need to understand this better.
It's like back in the day when people would wear the Bluetooth headset on their ear and walk around.
But nobody's
Those are the
looking.
days.
Now he's at home on his phone, and
Means
even the
you meant
screenshot.
business. Yeah, you'd fire up the Bluetooth headset every once in a while.
Yeah, you
You'd fire
remember
up the
people would just
AirPod.
walk around with that thing and it would be flashing
yeah.
a blue light, and you'd be like, I feel like you're giving yourself brain cancer right now.
And then doing like one of
Where are
these.
those people now?
Like they'd be like,
Yeah.
what?
Dead. Brain cancer.
Hold on.
True or false? That fight happens in 26.
No. False.
Yeah, no way.
No way.
I don't.
No, Joshua.
I heard people say like if Anthony Joshua takes that fight, like you can kiss the rest of your career goodbye.
Oh,
You're done.
no, I
and,
don't
and,
believe that.
and let's be honest, he's on the back nine. But again, George Foreman coming off the Muhammad Ali fight fought 5 guys in Toronto in an exhibition. This idea that if you like dabble in this world, that means you're done is so crazy.
If he does fight Tyson Fury and loses, it feels more realistic.
Oh yeah. Okay, well that's different. Yes.
Anthony Joshua would be much, much bigger than Jake Paul, no?
Yes.
Like 5 inches taller?
Well, then they
Bigger,
have no excuse.
heavier.
Jake wins. Every time they say Jake's bigger than his opponent, this could be a way
Who does
to.
Jake have a better chance beating? Anthony Joshua or Canelo?
What's the third option?
Yeah, what's a real option that he can win either?
Andre August. No.
To take the exercise seriously, Anthony Joshua.
You think so?
Yeah, Canelo.
He's a big boy. Just because Canelo's more in his prime?
Yeah, Canelo's a pound for pound. Like,
Yeah.
neither is the answer, but
If he beats either of them, stamped. I will no longer doubt this guy.
What'd you guys make of Tom?
very cagey, very
Yeah,
very-
feels like he knows something.
Okay, but this
But is
to
that
me-
good? Like,
yes, I feel like
for
this
me,
is a good
yeah,
sign.
Yeah.
My opinion, it's great.
Yeah.
Feels like he was very calculated with everything.
I was
that he
more
said.
talking about the beard, by the way, just for the record. when I said what you-
Yeah, the beard looks good.
Fantastic.
Beard looks good.
No, I'm kidding.
The Superman curl.
Yeah. No, it feels like remember that video where he's on the train, it feels like he's losing patience. Now it feels like he has renewed optimism.
Well, if they
Is
were
that accurate?
further away, right? If that meeting with Hunter and the UFC went the other way, you get on here and you say, John Jones, you're ducking me, you piece of garbage, you can't, blah, blah, blah. That meeting goes well, and they go, hey, just a little more patience. We're going to get this done for you. All you have to do is not rock the boat. We just got to get John on side, and we're going to do this. You come on and you do what Tom did today. So the signs to me are positive. You? What was your...
Well, Dana says done but not done. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's not done. I mean, what
Just got to figure out a few more
It's
things.
the same nonsense. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean shit.
When you asked him about the 6 months thing, and he was like,
Yeah.
"How do you know about the 6 months thing?"
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Oh, September 21st," and he's like, "Wow, you knew that one fast."
I like how you knew the start of fall very quickly. You recalled that
Well, you know why I know that? Because my sister's birthday is March 21st, and that's the first day of spring. So we would always like celebrate that. Happy birthday to her. It was just a couple of days ago. And I know it. I know it off the top of my head. March 21st is spring. June 21st is summer. September 21st is fall. December 21st is winter.
Yeah, same time every year. It's really not.
Tom was like,
not
"How'd
too
you know
tough.
that? Are you
Wait,
a wizard?"
is that like a hard thing to know?
Not
No.
always the 21st, though, right? Sometimes it's the
Yeah, I actually think March 20th was the first day.
No,
Yeah,
like
so-
it's like technically like
Oh, come on.
20th, but like the first official day.
Yeah, you can't be
Okay.
saying 21st.
Nah.
21st,
Full day.
then-
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we got good news coming soon. MSG.
Do you guys?
He's gonna Google it later. Tom's gonna Google it. It's gonna say September 20th. He's like that Ariel Helwani. doesn't
Close
shit.
enough. You know, I had heard that there was some talk of MSG before MSG, if you get what I'm saying.
An additional MSG
An
show.
additional. And let's see. I mean, it would certainly be fitting, and I would rather it not be all the way in November, right? I think we would all say that. By the way, I must say,
What can I
and,
ask?
and I don't know if that's going to be the case, but everything that I'm hearing seems like we're moving in the right direction. Is it fait accompli? Is it a done deal? No, I'm not hearing that. But based on this, based on some other conversations, based on some other feelings, like I feel like we are moving in the right direction.
MSG because you can do the most gate there that's not a stadium, basically.
Yeah, but you can do a big gate in Vegas too.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
Yeah.
does it have to be MSG? But I mean, I'm not mad at it.
Maybe
I'd
John
love
wants
it if it was
MSG. I don't know.
Yeah,
John
I'd
looked
love
good at the Dirty Boxing event,
Yeah, but-
right? Shaved head, John. I thought he looked fit.
it. Look fit.
He looked
Mustache,
healthy.
too?
I thought it was a good look. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, he looks.
Looks like the 6 months have already started.
He looks like he's ready.
Did we and we have that footage, right, of him at the weigh-ins where when he was going F Tom Aspinall. I didn't think he looked that awkward, if I'm being honest. Here's John. Here's John at the.
Let me watch it again.
Well, we could just we could talk over it.
Yeah,
We
let's-
We're
have
working on it. Efforting is.
Okay, all right. Anyway, Dirty Boxing. Did you guys go like GC? Did you go from the English breakfast UFC London to Dirty Boxing on Saturday? Did you roll right into it?
I'm not gonna lie. I cut the highlights for Dirty Boxing.
Oh, you didn't watch it
No.
live on Twitter?
Yeah, no.
Live on
I cut
YouTube?
I cut the highlights. But yeah, English breakfast straight into the fights. Yeah, I was like halfway through my beans when watching Garam get beat up pillar to post.
That was the first
sad.
fight.
It was sad, man.
That was it. You were done.
No. I watched the rest of the card. I'm saying,
Okay.
but like I was working through my breakfast. It wasn't a good palate cleanser to go with the breakfast.
Tough one for Guram.
Tough one for Garam. Yeah, it was a big setup in my living room. 3 TVs. You had to have the March Madness on.
Oh, yeah.
You know, NASCAR on Sunday.
Right.
UFC London.
Do you really have 3 TVs?
Dirty Boxing. Set up 3 TVs for the weekend.
Wow. How do you do that?
Big TV, smaller TV, iPad on the coffee table. 3 screens.
And what gets what? Like what's on the big? What's on the small?
UFC rode medium TV until the main event. Then I went big for Big Sean Brady.
Yeah.
And then March Madness, big TV, March Madness, iPad for the most of the Saturday.
Okay. Well, in case you missed Dirty Boxing, some highlights, of course. Yoel Romero, victorious. Nice win for him, I thought. And,
Great win.
This is the official Dirty Boxing one. The other one was like a pilot, I think.
The athleticism he has at 47 still is just insane.
It's insane. 47, the guy's flipping over the ropes.
And he might
Look
be
at this.
57. Who even knows at this point?
Look
But
at John with the mustache.
Yeah, there he
I'm
is.
envious. Bald with the mustache is as tough of a look to pull off.
This is good footage.
He defeated Ross Hilton in the third round. Ross with an interesting hairstyle there. He had like the patch with
It's not great.
I mean, naturally, shorty man, dirty box.
Yeah, I mean, he's
He's the face of dirty
He's
boxing.
the face. He's the face. Andrei Arlovsky made his dirty boxing debut and was victorious as well. Look at the big man here. How's taste my dirty boxing? I think that's what.
God.
Ooh, look at that. Look at that cut.
That's some great footage. Whoever snagged that.
Yeah, like these vertical vids are shot extremely well. If this is just like
Is this Mac Malley?
Maybe.
If he's shooting it, I don't know, but they're doing a great job. He defeated Terrence Hodges in the second round via referee stoppage due to that cut. So they're building something. Let's see if they can get
John
some
Jones
momentum.
owner.
John Jones owner now with Mike Perry. Shout out. Did you guys happen to see Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira going back and forth on social media?
Sure did.
What do you think? Are we building towards something? Like, if I'm Ilya, I'm staying away from this interaction, no? Like, don't we want our attention to be on Islam? We don't want to build interest in a fight against Charles because I think a lot of people would want to watch that. In case you missed it, a bit of the back and forth here, the highlights between the two of them, I thought was interesting. I'm looking for the title, and today's champion is Islam Makhachev. Topuria is a very tough guy, but right now I don't see it as a big fight, Charles Oliveira said to ABC MMA. Ilya responds, Charles, it's better if you stay quiet. You have 10 losses, 5 by knockout, 4 by submission, and 1 by decision. You are the contender while I am the champion, the father of the entire division. I haven't come here to ask anything. Here, I am the one in charge. Wow. Are we building towards something here?
I don't know, because then didn't he come out and say that he wouldn't come to lightweight if he wasn't going to be a champion? Like, he knows.
I still maintain his
knows
next
he's
fight has to
predestined.
be for the lightweight title.
Yeah, I don't think we're building towards anything. I think it's Ilya versus Islam.
And then what about Charles? Armin?
Yeah.
Again?
Why
Nothing
not?
else.
Another crack.
Number one contender.
I saw a lot of people making a big deal about the fact that Patty dapped up Ilya, but Molly didn't. Did you guys notice that?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't
notice that.
At the weigh-ins, Patty, like, they were cool, and then I think they said, like, the last time something happened, they're like, the next time I see you, it's on site.
On site, baby, yeah.
It wasn't on site. It was just like a hi, hello. But then Molly, like, went, and then went like, not like this, but like she definitely withdrew.
She's riding.
Which lets me know, like, Molly's a real one. She's got her guys back.
Yeah, 100%. And as she should.
But her guy didn't.
Keep that same energy.
Look, they didn't have a convo about it beforehand. She doesn't know. She's like, all right, let me stay away from this. And then he's like, I'm okay now. I'll just give.
Do you think it's over between them? Because I felt like with Ilya moving up to 155, we're actually getting closer to becoming a reality again.
I think we're closer, but I think Patty knows it's not next. You know, like, he's got some work to do.
I was surprised.
2027.
You think 27?
Ilya Patty
for the belt?
Lightweight title, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Islam's done.
I thought, to be honest, Patty and I were moving towards reconciliation, but then I saw on the Action Network, which I didn't know still was a thing, Ariel Helwani called Alex Pereira's loss to Magomed Ankalaev a nightmare scenario for the UFC. This is the question. What did you make of the fight and the scoring? Patty, fuck him. Fuck him, lad. The lizard. Golly. But then this is the best part. I don't think it's a nightmare situation, but I do understand what he means. And then he goes, what did I do to deserve that, Patty? Nice to see you letting it go. Just so we're very clear, you were in the wrong, I was in the right. And it's been proven time and again. Like nothing has ever been proven quite like this before. And he's still holding on to it for some reason. What am I... And even every time I'm asked about Patty since then, always give him props, always make it, professional, nice, courteous, respectful. Felt unnecessary. Have we not learned anything from the first go around here?
Yeah, but we just talked about it. Him and Ilya were at each other's throats, and then you
think
maybe this is next time you see each other, it's going to be a dap.
Okay. You know what? All right. Now I feel better about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Speaking of Cage Warriors, they had an event on Friday. Some controversial moments. There was a sort of like fake glove touch that everyone was going crazy about. 4-second knockout. Is that a faux pas? I don't know if that's a faux pas.
No
People
good.
hate that,
What?
huh? I don't know.
Are you crazy?
It's like you're about to be in a cage fight. I don't know.
No.
Don't do it.
That's bad form.
So like, what was it? Like the guy held he held the glove and then he went.
He faked the glove touch.
Did he fake it or did he touch it? Did he palm the glove?
Yeah, he palmed it and then used it to move it out of the way to punch him in the face. Hell no, that's
okay.
That's
but what
way
if
out of bounds.
Okay, but here's the thing: if one guy, just playing devil's advocate for a moment, if one guy wants the glove touch and the other guy doesn't want to,
then you say no.
Well, maybe
you don't put your hand out to.
Is there a confirmation that the guy asked? Here's
I don't care.
Here's the palming.
No.
Looks like he's about to move it right out of the way.
He's shoving
and
that
throw
thing
that
right out.
He's got the right cocked, ready to go.
That's cocking it
no
right
good.
there.
No good.
What if the guy says, like, when they do that thing before and the guy's like, and he still does it?
Still does what? The guy comes to the middle and then tries to put his hand out?
No. Like before when they're like,
yeah, when they say, "Are we going to do it or not do it?"
And what if the guy says, "No, we're not doing it,"
Yeah.
and the opponent still extends? Does
then
he have
punch
to
him in the
oblige?
face?
Yeah, I mean it's bad. I agree with Rick. Like it's bad form, but also.
So how do we know
your
that
point,
didn't happen?
Protect yourself at all times.
But then, I mean, I guess we don't know that didn't happen. But I would assume if somebody said "don't glove touch" and then you put your hand out there like a dope, we'd know it by this point. But I'm going to say no. But no, you can't do that. You can't do that. So, all right. So, do we now like the other fake one where you pretend you're going for it and then put it down and then kick him in the head?
No, I mean, obviously I don't love any of it. But by the way, 4-second knockout is crazy.
Yeah, if your opponent's thinking you're touching gloves and then you starch them, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's nasty work. 4-second knockout. Yeah.
Yeah. No, come on, man. I can't.
You can't condone such behavior?
No, this is Bush League shit. Like, yeah, that's gonna be like that's a great highlight reel for you for a second until everybody goes, wait a minute, what was that? What was that there?
Was there outrage online about it?
Oh yeah.
Oh okay.
Oh yeah.
Then I'm on the side of all the online.
Yeah.
I'm with them.
I mean, it was a pretty crazy weekend. Did you guys happen to catch Wyatt Hendrickson of Oklahoma State University defeating Gable Steveson?
I wasn't watching live, but man, I watched like an extended highlight reel. It was
me too.
Not only was the moment incredible,
the call.
DC's commentary was
DC and Jordan Burroughs were going nuts. They were like like they were just. But it was great to see that element. Yeah, it was amazing. Wyatt Hendrickson defeating two-time NCAA champion and Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson, winning the heavyweight championship. A U.S. Air Force second lieutenant secured a takedown with 18 seconds left in the match to win 5-4. Oklahoma State finished third as a team behind Penn State and Nebraska. One of the biggest upsets, they say, and I won't pretend. I'm interested in it. I love it. I maintain that one of the dumbest things that NCAA wrestling does is go up against the basketball March Madness the same weekend. Like do it a week before. Even go up against the conference tournaments would be better than going up against. Do you not agree? Like the Saturday of the second, so now we're on to the second round of the tournament. You guys go through your thing, and it starts on Thursday and it goes into Saturday. Why would you pick that?
This is white noise at best, and that's being kind. You can't compete. You can't compete with March Madness.
Even do it during the week, for goodness sakes. Anyway, shout out to our guy David Taylor, formerly of Penn State.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Shoe here. Remember that? He's his head coach. There's a great story in the Oklahoman. Wyatt Hendrickson had not yet moved to Stillwater last summer to begin training with the Oklahoma State wrestling team when Coach David Taylor sent a simple text message. Wyatt Hendrickson, national champion. Taylor, the first-year OSU coach, sent similar messages regularly, but on Saturday night in front of a packed Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Hendrickson brought the words to life. How about that? Yeah, we're going to be joined by David Taylor on Wednesday to talk about this, so I'm looking forward to that. That was a great moment. But yes, DC and Jordan were great. I think there are some like old school wrestling people, or I don't know, someone who doesn't like DC on the call. Are you crazy? Are you guys nuts? Are you guys nuts?
The passion from DC was incredible.
Amazing. What's this that you just sent me? From Chris Duncan?
Yeah. He said you must have went to the toilet for his fight.
What does that mean? Is he mad at me?
You're saying Brady.
I don't think he's mad. He's just saying. I think you said Kevin Holland had the most impressive performance
Oh.
beyond Sean Brady.
He's saying he
He said
should
you
be
must have
above.
you must have missed my fight. Is what.
Oh, okay, all right. So this is a tweet from me on Saturday saying, other than Sean Brady, I think the most impressive performance on the night was Kevin Holland, or from Kevin Holland. Nearly got the finish, negated Gunner's grappling. Hopefully we see him stay at 170. And Chris Duncan replies, must have went for a toilet break on my fight. Jeez.
To be fair, he did have a great performance.
He did have, I mean, there had...
Did you go? Yeah. Did you go to the bathroom?
No, of course not. The Pride of Scotland? How could I miss it?
We got a little chapstick.
You couldn't miss this chapstick.
Bliss stacks. What are we
Man won't
working
get
with
up to go to
there?
the bathroom, but he'll chapstick in the middle of the
Aquaphor?
broadcast.
I'm a big fan of Aquaphor.
Shout out Aquaphor.
Oh, yeah.
man.
There's nothing better.
Is that the same one you were just using? Pulled the whole thing out.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean the same one I was just
The
using?
stick looked all blue, but then the one you showed was what? You pulled it out? Yeah, there you go.
No, I got this. I was doing like a video shoot on Friday, and the guy. Yeah, I told the story on Saturday. The makeup artist from Blanchardstown. Actually, no, nearby. He was from nearby. Sorry.
Did you ask whether it was rough or not?
Yes. Oh, you didn't hear this. I thought you were in the chat on Saturday. I saw you there.
I was in, I was out. At that point, I then had 4 screens going.
Sorry.
simultaneously.
I was at a video shoot about something very exciting that's going to come out in the next 10 or so days. I actually have a couple things coming out that you guys are, well, I think some of you might be excited about. Anyway, it's late night. It's Friday night. It's 11 p.m. I'm freezing my arse off. I'm not used to this type of thing. You know, I'm very soft. And the makeup, the hair and makeup person was a nice young man from Dublin. I hear the accent, and I'm like, I know that accent. Where are we from? I'm from Dublin. I was like, you know yourself. The crack is 90. I'm busting out the whole repertoire, and I asked him. All right, so we have a big debate. You know, one of my dear friends is from Blanchardstown. Is it the posh part of town or is it the rough part of town? And he did in fact confirmed it's quite rough. You wouldn't want to find yourself there on a late Friday night.
Oh, those fighting
I
words.
think at this point we've got enough confirmation.
It's just Paul Hughes who says
it's just
otherwise.
Paul Hughes messing with Pizzi.
So in any event, thank you very much to him. And congratulations to Chris Duncan on the big win. By the way, congratulations also to Jake Paul on the nuptials. Actually, not the nuptials. The nuptials when you actually get married. I guess the engagement.
Yeah.
Right? Jake Paul's future wife, a champion speed skater, right?
Yeah.
Utah?
Isn't
that her name?
Oh, I don't know.
What?
Utah?
I believe so.
I didn't know this.
By the way, where are they here?
She's what, Norwegian?
Jutta Leerdam.
Oh, shut up.
Jutta. She is Norwegian, yes. You didn't know about Utah?
I honestly
Legend.
I didn't. When you said that, I was going to say,
Speed
no,
skater.
I think she's Norwegian.
Is she from Utah? No, she's from Norway.
I'm being dead serious. That was my knee-jerk reaction.
Oh, gosh.
Congratulations to him, man.
Yes.
Good stuff.
A lot of people have been asking me, I'm just rolling through the news and notes here. A lot of people have been asking us about an update on James Krause.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that we might get some kind of update later this week? In fact, tomorrow. This according to MMAfighting.com's Damon Martin late last week. UFC veterans Jeff Molina and Derek Minner may finally get some closure when it comes to the future of their fighting careers, with both fighters scheduled for disciplinary hearings, with the Nevada State Athletic Commission after being suspended under suspicion of potentially being involved in a betting scandal involving their head coach, James Krause. The fighters were added to the upcoming meeting on March 25th, with the appearance noted as a hearing on disciplinary complaint, or in the alternative, hearing on proposed adjudication agreement. That typically means that the Nevada Attorney General's office has already come to terms on some sort of punishment, which is then voted on by the commission for approval. Would you believe this story dates back to December of 2022? 2.5 years.
Remember it like it was yesterday.
And so this is for Molina and Minner, who were accused of being a part in some sort of fight-fixing scandal, which the UFC has really not suffered all that much from, but still no real update on what it all means for James Krause, who has really kind of disappeared from the scene. He was very active.
Yeah, where is he?
You know?
What is he doing?
I don't know.
He was active
he's in
coaching. He was active with a
social media,
gambling podcast,
yeah.
social media, everything.
I think wasn't he doing stuff for ESPN? Wasn't he doing like some appearances?
Hey, might have been. He might have been.
So anyway, some kind of resolution. I mean, it is really. Molina was the one, who was still in the UFC, who had the ceiling that I think was a little bit higher than Minner's. Krause already at that point had transitioned to being a coach. Really, like I don't think. When was his last fight at that point? Like, did he actually really retire at any point? I don't know if he ever announced his retirement, but his last fight was in 2020. So anyway, a lot of people asking about that. Do we have an update on the Cain Velasquez situation?
So we're about 18, 20 minutes away,
Oh, wow.
supposedly, from sentencing.
So this is the big day.
It was supposed to happen earlier today, and then it's been delayed, but apparently he's on his way back to the courtroom, and at like 4:30 Eastern, we're supposed to hear something.
Do yourself a favor and follow Nolan King, MMA_Kings. He works for MMA Junkie, does a tremendous job, and he has been covering this story since the beginning, truthfully, and doing a great job of doing so. And he's providing updates, and I'm seeing a tweet from him here. Cain Velasquez is heading back into the courthouse. Judge's ruling reportedly 20 minutes away. Could you imagine what this man is going through right now?
I mean, yeah, there's a video of him walking back to the courthouse and like
hands in his pocket, like he seems at peace.
I was
right?
gonna say, like he seems like abnormally calm for what's going on right now.
Is it? I was asking some people close to him, like, does he know? You know what I mean? There's a chance he may know his fate.
Okay.
But they actually said, nah, you never really know.
I saw a tweet earlier from Damon Martin, who you mentioned, and it said something to the effect of like the prosecutors want 25 to life.
Fuck.
And his team wants no jail time. So like, if you know,
Gotta be immediate.
you'd better know, because the alternative is not great.
Oh my God, it makes me sick to my stomach. He was on Kyle Kingsbury podcast. Kyle Kingsbury was a longtime friend and teammate of his at AKA, and I read the quotes this morning, and he's come on the show and he seems to be very much at peace, but the interview that he did with Kyle would suggest that he is very much in a good place. Like, it really, I mean, some of these quotes are just unbelievable considering what he is facing. Quote, from what I can say as far as myself, the way that I handled things was not the way to do it. We cannot put the law in our own hands. I've already pled guilty, so I'm going to get a sentencing on Monday. I know what I did, and I know what I did was very dangerous to other people, not just people involved, but to innocent people. I understand what I did, and I'm willing to do everything I have to do in order to pay that back. Whatever the court feels correct, for what I have to do, I'm going to do it with my head up. I still will be me and not play the blame game. It was me that did that and reacted in that way. Velasquez was arrested in February of 2022 after he pursued a vehicle carrying a man, Harry Goulart, accused of molesting Velasquez's then 4-year-old son, and fired a handgun at it several times in a high-speed daytime chase. Velasquez struck Goulart's stepfather, Paul Bender, resulting in an arm injury. This from MMA Junkie's Nolan King. Another quote, what I did was not correct. I understand that. I paid and I will pay whatever else as far as what I have to do to pay that all back. I don't think I can pay it back, but I can always learn from my mistakes and help others. It's just information that you never know anybody. Trust your kids. Have that open communication with your kids. When you do go to the bathroom with them, when they're very young, you can work your way in there as far as talking to them about what's appropriate and what is not. So they know to tell you, and they can always tell you whenever something is not correct. As far as that goes, it's basically that the more we get consciously aware of ourselves, the more that light shines on dark things, especially things like that. The guy is just, man, it's an incredible, I mean, it's a surreal turn of events for a guy who was once UFC heavyweight champion, who was a hero to so many people, first ever Mexican-American heavyweight champion, first ever Mexican-American champion in UFC history. And to think that he is minutes away from finding out his fate. I don't know, we're not going to play the game of like, what would you do? What would you do? Because we never want to even fathom being in that situation. But I don't know many people, let alone parents, that wouldn't say like, I probably would react the same way. God forbid. And ultimately, he did not kill anyone. Now, I know that's not always the the litmus as to, how you should be punished. But we are 100% biased here when it comes to Cain Velasquez and knowing what he had to deal with. I can't even imagine what he was processing, how he was feeling, what he was thinking in that moment. So I just hope that they spare him and have some mercy on him, because I don't wish that upon anyone, and I don't think Cain Velasquez is a bad guy. The dude who did that to his son is an evil person, diabolical, lower than scum, if that is in fact what he did. So I feel sick to my stomach just thinking he's minutes away.
To your point, though, he seems at peace with whatever the outcome is.
Yeah.
I tried to look for anything on the result of the trial for the man who was accused.
That's in June.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming up. Mazel tov to Ari Emanuel. He pockets $174 million in Endeavor going private again. This, according to MMA Fighting, has closed a deal Endeavor has to go private in a deal headed by Silver Lake Financial. The acquisition was announced several months ago. Silver Lake stated in a press release that the company believes that when consolidating all of TKO's value into Endeavor, the combined total enterprise value of $25 billion. Ari Emanuel scoring $173.8 million cash payout, and he rolls over ownership interest with a total value of $290.27 million into the new privately held company, per an SEC filing on Monday. Mark Shapiro, previously the president and chief operating officer at Endeavor, now becomes the president and managing partner at WME Group. He is still the president and COO of TKO Group Holdings. The big news is Patrick Whitesell, who co-founded Endeavor, is actually leaving the new WME Group to launch a new Silver Lake-backed venture that plans to invest in and scale properties and IP across sports, media, and entertainment. So mazel tov. Did I miss anything? Oh, yeah.
Super chats.
Thanks, Frank. What do we got?
Yeah. Well, we have this first one here from AAK. We kind of talked about this already. It says, did you see Big Wyatt Hendrickson's last-second upset of Gable Stevenson on Saturday? Place went nuts, and DC was squealing like a pig in mud on commentary.
I thought it was great. I loved it. DC loves wrestling. Dare I say he loves it more than MMA. I'll never forget when I did the E60 story on DC, and I knew that he coached high school kids. I didn't realize how deep into it he was. And so this guy is driving around, he's stressing about them cutting weight, and then we go to the tournament, and he's out there yelling, sweating, not getting paid a dime, giving all of his assistants, Deron Wynn and others, all the money, not getting a cent from all this, and is so into it. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world. He's in Gilroy High School. I believe the onion capital of the world. It smells like onion there. No, the garlic capital of the world. I screwed that up. Smells like garlic there. What else?
Guy Oshri writes, Shalom Dod Ariel.
Do you know what Dod means?
Uncle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Mm-hmm. I actually know a lot of Hebrew.
That is accurate, though.
I know. What, you didn't believe me?
No.
Anyway, his question says, do you think the UFC should replace the Apex with the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines? And any thoughts on Natan Levy getting out? Cut.
Getting cut. I don't think that's going to happen for the first one. I think they should replace it with the, the Box Center in Azerbaijan. Some people were saying that I mispronounced Azerbaijan.
Crystal Hall.
How do you pronounce?
Azerbaijan?
Yeah.
Azerbaijan.
Tomato. Anyway, Natan Levy, it seemed like, he said that he wasn't getting enough fights. He was happy to be let go, but, it's a results business, and perhaps they weren't happy with the results. The thing is, his last fight was a while ago, but he just announced now. His last fight was in March of 24. A year ago. He missed weight. He lost. It didn't last very long. Prior to that, he had won 2 in a row in the UFC, but hopefully for him, he can be a lot more active now. Still very young in his career, just 10 pro fights, 33, but he hasn't been fighting for all that long. 2018, so 7 years. Let's see. There's obviously Natan flying the flag and Eli Barzilai as well, who I think could be very close to getting to the UFC. What else, Frank?
Sleeto writes, Ariel, as you introduced the man in the hat on the post-fight show, I was hit with a blissful wave of nostalgia. What a treat that was. Shout out 3Pac.
Man, that felt good. A lot of people said similar things, wrote to us stating similar feelings, and it did get us thinking perhaps it is time to bring back the 3Pac post shows. The problem is it's happening at 5, 6 a.m. for Pizzi. Now, to his credit, he has repeatedly said, I'll do it, but there's a part of me that feels guilty.
Yeah, if he says he'll do it, he'll do it.
I mean, it's 5, 6 a.m. It's hard enough to stay up till 1 a.m. to watch these shows.
I mean, if he says he'll do it.
He'll do it? You're saying that we should do it?
Yeah, like, you've never told him, like, well, this is the requirement. He's offering it up.
Yeah.
I think, cash that check, man, before you can't.
Yeah, I guess. So what should we do? Like, you guys do the watch party and then hand it off to us for the
we'll
post
just sign off. You know, we're just like, all right, and to the headquarters in Ireland, and then he can do all the technical part on his own. So,
can I tell you the one thing I do like about that? And this is really breaking the fourth wall. But sometimes, you know, what was good about the old days was I would do the post show, the Ringer post show with Chuck and Pizzi, and then I would come on the show on Monday with you guys, and it would be 2 separate conversations, right, with different people. And now we do the post show with Rick and GC, and then I come here and it's Rick and GC. You have to find different angles. Now I do more of the talking on Saturday, and I feel like I kind of reverse the roles on Monday, but it
we
would.
Ever talked about that before? Like, that might be a thing.
That what might be a thing?
That, like, we would have that problem where we run into talking after the.
These are things I fixate on.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, you know, we're working through the kinks, but it might have to be a thing. So, hope you enjoyed your vacation, Pizzi. What else? Oh, is he coming up?
I thought maybe. But Rastafari415 says, whose thinking is more flawed? Leon Edwards attempting a takedown in round 3, or Dan Hurley using the term baldy to insult a fan? Huge fan of the show.
Well, thank you very much. Tough weekend for Dan Hurley. The streak ends at back-to-back. There's no back-to-back-to-back. Valiant effort against Florida, and afterwards said, I hope they don't F you like they F'd us. But I guess he's implying that he shaves his head. I don't know. It seems like. Anyway, big MMA fan, Dan Hurley is, and pro wrestling. Great guy. Met him. Did the Real Sports story on him and enjoyed my time with him. I mean, tremendously. I'll never forget. I sat down to speak with him at UConn, and the first thing he asked me about was Colby. I think it was Colby Leon. It was right after the Izzy DDP Strickland thing broke in July of 23. Yeah, in July of 23. Anyway, what was the first part? It was Hurley, and what did he say before that?
About Leon Edwards. The takedown that he did.
Takedown attempt in the 3rd round.
Oh, I mean, I think he's just trying to... listen, Leon's the man. You know, we'll always be supporters of his here and what he accomplished and what he had to do to get to that title fight and what he did in that title fight against Kamaru Usman. And then the subsequent, like, let's not play this game where we... you know, try to change history and do the thing like he was never any that. He was undefeated, by the way. He was undefeated for, I think it was 10 straight fights. He had not lost since 2015 when he met Kamaru Usman in Utah in 2022. He was losing that fight. He was a minute away from losing that fight, and then he pulls off one of the greatest kicks in the history of the sport, wins fair and square. They run it back. He wins that fight fair and square. He fights Colby Covington, and people thought that would be a nightmare matchup for him. He wins that fight fair and square, and then he lost, just like many others. 2 title defenses is a lot better than a lot of other people out there in a pretty tough division against fighters that people said were going to have tough styles for him to deal with. So Sean Brady's a freaking beast. He's talented, and I think that takes nothing away from Leon. But I will say this. Now I think the full story of Manchester could be told, and I don't think you can say that was some kind of off night and anomaly. Now, can you say that loss affected him on Saturday? We'll never know. Only he could tell us that. But if he would have come back on Saturday and beat the brakes off of Sean Brady and knocked him out, he could have said, you see, I told you this whole time that wasn't me. Can't say that. What else?
And lastly, On Air Jordan discovered that the fall equinox, which is the first day of autumn, actually shows up on September 22nd.
I mean, this was literally off the top of my head. I mean, I nailed it off the top of my head. The dates. Now, is it like 21st?
Didn't nail them 50-50.
No, I was like, I could have said the 15th, or I could have even said like, oh, I don't know.
And you would have been just as right then than you were saying the 21st.
So he said to me, when's the first day of fall? And I said, September 21st,
and then
right?
he was like eating out of your palm, like, oh my, you're like a magician, right?
Yeah, he loved
this guy knows his equinoxes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Turns out you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty close.
Charlatan.
Well,
wow. All right.
I hope that's not like super insulting.
No, listen.
We can talk after the show.
What else?
That's everything.
That was it. That
was the cherry on top.
Oh, gosh. Tomorrow's program, I could tell you about it if you want to know.
I'd like to know.
We'll be joined by Carlos Ulberg.
Oh, yeah.
This is ladies' night, and I feel all right. Raul Rosas.
Big pop.
No? I was expecting a chiwi.
I'm looking for it.
We don't have it anymore? It's been a while.
It's been a while. I think it got put on another page. I'm sorry.
Okay. Huh.
Have we even played that once in the new iteration?
Steve Urseg, one half of the headliner. He'll join us. One other guest as well. Big show coming up on Wednesday. Stay tuned for that, of course, On the Nose. Everyone loves On the Nose. That will be on Wednesday. Big week around these parts. Gonna be. Oh, thanks. No, it's good. It's good to get it in. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all very much. It's been a great day here on the program, but it is time to go. Sending our best to Cain Velasquez. Hoping for the best. Monday Night Raw is on right now on Netflix. John Cena cutting a mad promo. They're in Europe. Do you think they're going back and forth, or are they staying in Europe this whole time? It's a long tour over there. Anyone have any insight? No. This, by the way, is the last week, if you're in Europe, that will be coming on an hour early, because I do believe next weekend, next Sunday, y'all catch up to us and move the clocks forward. So the last couple weeks, it's been a 5 o'clock start in the UK and Ireland. It will now go back to being a 6 p.m. start. 5 hours as opposed to 4 hours. Do you understand what I'm saying, Frank?
I do. I think we should be careful now with giving direction on calendar days and time.
Oh, wow.
Let's just make sure we got it right.
Yeah, know yourself. No, I think I'm.
You're fairly
pretty
confident
accurate.
about this.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty accurate about that because I've been looking at it, because I always get worried when I book the UK based guests or the European based guests. Am I getting the right time? So I'm constantly having to look, what time is it? And then I just wait a second. Why is it 4 hours now? Oh, they moved the clocks ahead a month after us. Why would they do such a thing?
They did like in the 50s, where there's just like mechanical clocks, like 8 of them in the studio with you.
Oh,
shows you all the different.
Yes, Walter Cronkite with the clock.
Exactly.
This is the time in Tokyo. This is the time in London. This is the time. That's
We'll do
brilliant.
another one. The calendar shows all the equinoxes.
Oh wow. Okay. Thank you very much to our guests today: Tom Aspinall, Sean Brady, Teddy Atlas, and Nathaniel Wood. Back on Tuesday, same time, place, to the same place.